No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Harwood. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 12 o'clock on the 10th of August. It's Monday. I'm Emily Carter.
Yes, she is, and I'm Christopher Hope.
We send people back to their country of origin, so it needs a phone call with Edi Rama from Albania, etc. And if they refuse, we then send foreign national offenders off to third parties.
Now, Reform announces plans to deport all foreign offenders. That's more than 10,000 of them from British prisons, changing the law so serious offenders serve their full sentences.
Well, this also comes as the Sun newspaper reports 3 Al-Qaeda terrorists could be released within weeks.
A new record as a single mega dinghy, we must call it, carrying 230 illegal migrants arrives on Britain's shores overnight.
This is pictures emerge of a months-old baby being hauled onto a migrant mega dinghy.
What choice has that child got? Andy Burnham is back from holiday, thank goodness, promising to bring back forward the ban on subscription traps to ease the cost of living. But what's he going to do about the stuff that really matters? How about PC Andrew Harper's Killers, who are still set for early release from October?
And are you ready for yet another heatwave? Yes, I believe it's the 5th heatwave to hit our shores. Temperatures could peak at 36 degrees this week. Oof, bit hot.
I might put my white suit on again, Emily.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Street artist Banksy has cost us taxpayers almost £150,000 in cleaning operations and security. There's the current statue on display in Mayfair. But should we be protecting his work? Can't he afford to do it himself? Is this art or vandalism, Emily?
I'm yet undecided, but football fail. One player celebrates scoring a goal. Chris, have you seen this? Only to fall straight down a hole moments later. There he is. And then it was disallowed.
Oh,
bad day out. Bad day out for that chap.
What a shocker.
What a numpty. So what do you reckon, Chris, about this idea to send all our foreign offenders off to El Salvador? I've heard the conditions are lovely in those prisons.
So the deal is El Salvador if there's no returns agreement with the country involved. And Lee Anderson, the party's chairman, is off to El Salvador to negotiate that deal. I think that might work. I think Rwanda worked in the sense that people coming here from northern France were going to be sent to Rwanda. That, anecdotally, stopped people leaving France and moved more people from Northern Ireland to Southern Ireland, I think, or he stopped them coming from Southern Ireland, Northern Ireland, in the summer of 2024 when the Tories were threatening that. So I think the idea of deporting people like that does work.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Anderson, do you think he'll be a good negotiator? I mean, he is to the point. He's got that sort of common sense, let's get on with it kind of thing going on. So maybe he can rock up to El Salvador and get some kind of agreement. Although I think on the scale that they want it, I don't think that's ever been done before.
No, but you don't need to do a lot, is the idea. You do a few of them, make a big noise about it, and it stops the crossings. And frankly, given that poor baby, I don't know if we can show it again.
Oh, so this is an illegal migrant thing rather than just a foreign offenders.
Oh, sorry, I'm confused myself. Yeah, but of course, Lee Anderson's also doing the same.
Well, it could be both, yeah.
Well, these are deterrents, aren't they, basically? So both for offenders in our jails not offending here, and also, of course, there's a separate idea about deporting for small boats.
Well, I wonder what our viewers think. Do you think Lee Anderson, Reform UK's Lee Anderson, could rock up to El Salvador and sort this thing out? We'll see, let us know.
They're quite scary prisons there.
They are quite scary prisons. The ones for terrorists I was reading are particularly nasty. I don't think those are the ones we'd be using. But of course, there'd be huge amounts of human rights challenges, as there always is with this type of thing. Let us know your thoughts. Is El Salvador the answer? Is Lee Anderson going to be able to negotiate some kind of deal?
Is he the answer?
Is he the answer? Yes, in fact, is he the answer? GBNews.com/your say is the way to get in touch. But let's get to the headlines with Bethany.
Thank you both. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at midday. Reform UK is promising to deport all foreign nationals from British prisons to free up space and end the early release scheme. If the party was to form the next government, they plan to send those who commit the most serious crimes like murder, manslaughter and rape to their home country to serve their sentence, or rent prison spaces in El Salvador or Kosovo. Reform's Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Youssef told us prisons are in crisis.
This is a national emergency. British people are literally being killed because there is not enough space in our prisons. We will change the law so that those who commit serious crimes like murder, manslaughter, rape and serious violence serve their full sentences. Unbelievably, there are over 10,000 foreign nationals in British jails. We will deport all of them, sending them to serve their sentences in countries like El Salvador or Kosovo if their home countries will not take them back.
GB News understands around 230 migrants have arrived in the UK overnight after crossing the Channel in what is suspected to be the most packed mega dinghy so far. A Home Office spokesperson has described the latest crossing as reckless and dangerous, accusing the criminal gangs of putting lives at risk by cramming huge numbers of people onto unseaworthy vessels. Nearly 1,000 migrants made the journey in small boats this weekend amid the warm and calm weather. The government says they're making progress with the lowest number of crossings recorded in July since 2020. And half of England and all of Wales are in drought, and more areas are expected to be declared today after an exceptionally hot and dry summer. The UK is heading into another intense heatwave this week, the 5th of the year so far, with temperatures reaching up to 36 degrees in parts of East Anglia and South East England on Thursday. Heat health alerts are already in place across much of England, with the Met Office considering issuing rare amber or red warnings. Those are your top stories. Let's have a look at the markets.
Going through the ceiling, finding the floor. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.35 and 1.17 euros. The price of gold is £3,213 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 10,876 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 7 minutes past 12 and we've got some breaking news to begin the show. Yes, an Afghan asylum seeker who raped a 13-year-old girl has been sentenced to 9.5 years in prison at Nottingham Crown Court.
Abdul Khan was convicted on Friday of charges relating to sexual communication with a child, meeting a child following grooming and perverting the course of justice.
Yes, Khan arrived in the UK illegally back in 2015 on a lorry.
GB News national reporter Jack Carson joins us now. Jack, what's the latest?
Thank you very much. Well, Abdul Khan used the social media platform Snapchat to groom a 13-year-old girl who said she was 14. He had posed as a 14-year-old boy before arranging to meet the girl in May 2025 and then sexually attack her in the Clifton area in a nature reserve there. The 28-year-old and his age is still truly unknown because of different ages he's given, whether it's the immigration authorities or the police, but we believe he is a 28-year-old, arrived in the UK in the back of a lorry in 2015, giving his date of birth in an asylum application initially as the 26th of December 2004, but this court has heard over the proceedings of the trial and the sentencing hearing that his date of birth is actually believed to be in May 1999. He was convicted of 2 counts of rape, sexual communication with a child, meeting a child following grooming and perverting the course of justice. Sentencing Abdul Khan today, His Honour Judge Mark Watson said that in 2015 you were in contact with a girl you thought to be 14. That was part, he said, of a pattern of behaviour, as you were also in contact with one of her friends and someone in Derbyshire. You continued to message her and contact with her quickly became sexual, with you asking for and receiving a naked picture of her. She thought she was communicating with a boy of her own age because that is what you led to believe. But Mark Watson, the Honourable Judge, said that you deliberately hid your true identity, and it's a lie that he says he has continued throughout these proceedings, saying you persisted to lie in this court. You also provided with the police with a wholly fictitious account that you were set up by a drug dealer. He said he was satisfied, the judge, that Abdul Khan was in his mid-20s. Describing those 2 counts of rape, he said it was certainly your intention that you would go on to have sex with the girl you believed to be 14. He had messaged her asking if they could meeting up with her after she had left school one day before they then went into the woods and the attacks happened, saying that with the judge saying today that you believed in your own mind she was consenting, but it was not a reasonable belief. Your sentence, he said, will mean automatic deportation. But as his defence barrister stood up during the sentencing hearing, we heard how that Khan had fled Afghanistan before the regime change, and he would have a problem with going back to Afghanistan if that deportation order was to be carried out. Khan begins today a 9-year and 6-month custodial sentence. With this court hearing, he'll serve 2/3 of that before being eligible for release on licence.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Jack, just to reiterate, what is his immigration status? You say he'll be up for immediate deportation after his sentence. Was he given asylum status in this country, or was he just sort of waiting to hear? What was going on there, do you know?
So we are waiting for a confirmation on that. We know that he had applied for asylum. That's when he'd given that initial date of birth as the 26th of December 2004, which we now know to be incorrect. His age is to be believed 28. So we're waiting on confirmation whether that asylum application was ever approved or whether it was just kind of left as it was. But he has been in this country since 2015 after illegally arriving in the back of a lorry.
OK, Jack Carson, thank you very much indeed. What a horrific story.
Just horrific,
What's he been doing in the country for 11 years?
Quite right. And when will he be deported? I mean, the question is now, Mark, for the government, the new Labour government.
Absolutely. Well, it shines a light also on, the lorry crisis, just as much as the small boat crisis.
You're quite right. And that's not seen. The issue, I think, with these small boat crossings, it's so public, the government can't really hide from that. But, of course, there are other crossings happening too.
But, I mean, as you said, what an absolute creep to try and groom a young girl on Snapchat, pretend to be a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
It's far too much.
Well, this is the sort of type of criminal that people worry about entering this country, because nearly 1,000 migrants have crossed the Channel to the UK in small boats just this weekend.
A record 230 people were packed into a single dinghy overnight. There's the picture. The highest number recorded in one boat so far in this escalating crisis.
Wow, look at that. Absolutely massive. Now, a baby months old, and several young children were pictured being carried onto packed dinghies. There you can see on the front page of the Times a little tiny baby in a baby grow, and French police apparently just watched on from the beach. There was a photographer down there, and he's told the newspaper that essentially the French were doing very little.
Yes, that was a small boat off Écoute in northern France, and you may wonder what choices that baby got about what he, assuming it's a he, is going through.
Well, exactly. Should we speak to migration expert and journalist Mike Jones? Mike, the government says that these boat trips are down, these crossings are down on last year, but it looks like the tactics are changing. We're moving towards these very large boats that are sort of going from stop to stop across the French coast and then coming up to Britain, to Dover. They're just sort of changing their tactics, aren't they, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why the small boats are down is because the French have actually been quite successful on land incursions in the more northern parts of the country, sort of around Dunkirk and Calais. So what the people smugglers are doing is they're moving their operations more down south, closer to Normandy, and they're using larger boats, partly for commercial reasons, because they can pack them in like sardines, but also they need these larger boats to get them through longer distances. So that's essentially what's happening. So the French have been partially successful in what they've done in the north, but the upshot of this, obviously, is that the people smugglers adopt more reckless and cruel tactics, which is what we're seeing right now.
In 230 on one boat. Apparently that's the same as the number of passengers on a Boeing 737 jumbo jet. I mean, these are no longer small boats. And Mike, when you see a little tiny baby being taken aboard, and a little baby grow, looks about 6 months old, possibly. I mean, what are we to make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just optically, it's disgusting. It's just completely immoral. But, you know, some of these illegal migrants won't just take risks with their own lives, they will take risks with the lives of their children. Yeah. And that's just absolutely abominable.
Mike, is it possible the scale of this vessel crossing shows that the government's attempts to squeeze supply of small boats and engine supply from China, small boats, they're often brought from factories in Germany. The scale of this vessel means that is working. So the attempt at squeezing the supply of these gangs is working, but in doing so, more lives are now at risk in the Channel.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how the Chinese have tightened their supply chains. I don't think there's any way around that realistically, and a lot of them go through Turkey as well as Germany as well. I think it's more to do with the French and their activities in Dunkirk and Calais. The thing about the French is they're very reluctant to intervene in the sea, right? Shallow waters, there's some leeway there. If boats are fully boarded, they don't intervene. In deep waters, obviously, they do not intervene unless the migrants are in danger or they signal for distress, right? But what the French have done is they have created problems for the people smugglers. So they're moving down south. They're using larger vessels. They're avoiding police watch spots. And obviously, this is going to put more of these people's lives in danger.
Well, absolutely.
And it's very distressing.
Mike Jones, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Migration expert and journalist Mike Jones there. I mean, apparently the baby was too small for even a life jacket on this boat.
Yeah, being held by. I mean, look at this in the Times here.
Yeah,
I mean, child's being held by one hand by a man. We don't know who the man is.
Suspended in the air there. I mean, apparently, according to the reports anyway, the French authorities tracked this particular boat for around 9.5 hours as it travelled along the coast, sort of picking up passengers at different points. They think it launched near Dieppe, but it also stopped at Berck and Camier. I'm not sure I know those towns, but anyway. And a French Coast Guard followed the dinghy, but of course they didn't intervene. They only intervene if the boat gets into difficulty.
Yes.
Otherwise, they just sort of follow it.
Yes, exactly. And there's a further issue with intervening. Why can't the big tubes for these boats be stabbed and punctured at the shore? That would risk people's lives or put them at risk. Certainly that child could be put at risk if it happened at sea. So that's why we're told the French aren't intervening enough.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is crazy at this point. Yeah. I can't believe we're not treating this more of an emergency. Anyway, a Home Office spokesperson said this latest incident demonstrates the reckless and dangerous tactics employed by the criminal gangs facilitating these crossings, who continue to put lives at risk by cramming ever greater numbers of people onto unseaworthy vessels.
We are making progress, they say, with the number of small boat crossings down this year and the lowest number recorded for the month of July since 2020. But we must go further, which is why we have signed a payment by results deal with the French to put 14% more boots on the ground on French beaches. That is costing us hundreds of millions of pounds, by the way.
Yes, worth noting. In other news, Reform UK are making some noise today. They're saying they want to deport all foreign nationals, every single one, from British prisons.
The party's Home Affairs spokesman, Zia Youssef, revealed that offenders could be sent to countries like Kosovo or El Salvador to serve their sentences.
We will change the law so that those who commit serious crimes like murder, manslaughter, rape and serious violence serve their full sentences. Unbelievably, there are over 10,000 foreign nationals in British jails. We will deport all of them, sending them to serve their sentences in countries like El Salvador or Kosovo if their home countries will not take them back. And we will use that space to ensure that serious criminals stay where they belong, behind bars.
OK, that comes as the probation watchdog warns that jails are at risk of running out of space because of the number of repeat offenders being recalled.
Well, should we speak to Chief Political Correspondent at The Times, Aubrey Allegretti. Aubrey, I think a lot of people will agree. They'll want foreign nationals out of our prisons.
Yeah, certainly. I think there'll be some support for this policy. I mean, there are lots of question marks over how it would work in practice. And so while it might carry a lot of water with Reform supporters, there is, as ever, the question of practicalities and how much Nigel Farage being willing to ride roughshod over diplomatic niceties is actually going to sort of happen in practice. I was actually just at the Reform press conference there that you played that clip from Zia Youssef, and there were questions, for example, about how much the scheme would cost. OK, Reform says it would save about half the amount of money that it takes currently to house these foreign national offenders. But there are other questions over, for example, the 10,000 foreign national offenders Reform UK claims. Well, if you look at the statistics, about a third of those are on remand, i.e. they're waiting to be tried in the first place. So it's not quite clear that they would deliver the number of prison spaces that Reform says they would. There are other questions about the sort of scale-up ability of this scheme and whether or not other countries would be willing to play ball. We heard that Lithuania and Estonia possibly would also be approached by Reform UK for these discussions. But again, it's a question about how much are they sort of pie in the sky, just trying to sort of play to their base with voters, when obviously Reform UK has seen a slight sort of eating away of that lead in the polls, with the burn and bounce credited for Labour gradually making that headway and closing the gap. So it's going to be quite an interesting summer to see how Reform UK come up with other policies designed to try and bring back supporters to the party.
But this more muscular approach, and last week we had Operation Fortress, when they're going to deploy the Navy to try and tow these boats back to French waters and not land them on the south coast of the UK. This is a response, I think. Maybe, would you agree, Aubrey, to their sliding poll ratings? They've got to keep up the pressure, I think, on showing they are the party of the right and the party who will take the tough decisions if they make it into office.
Absolutely. I mean, Reform has pursued quite a sensible media strategy over the last couple of summers by trying to effectively fill the airwaves and indeed newspaper column inches with kind of big, eye-catching announcements. And that's one of the ways that they try to get attention and cut through at a time when most people in Westminster are taking their summer break, MPs are away in their constituencies. And so it's designed to sort of continue that kind of drumbeat. You've also got, of course, the Clacton election, which Nigel Farage is standing in, along with with all the other candidates. And so there is a question about how much he's trying to sort of draw publicity to his own campaign in that seat. But there will be people that think that ultimately this is reform trying to sort of dress up a policy that was announced to a sort of slightly lesser degree a few years ago, where they actually announced that they did want to approach these countries and ask for them to rent prison space, and effectively just sort of toughening it up by saying that this is something that actually they would really seriously pursue, and all foreign national offenders would be forced to sort of participate in it. So yeah, they think this is designed really to sort of grab headlines and try and boost Farage's poll ratings, when obviously they have been sliding over the last couple of months.
Aubrey, we're going to have to read out the list of candidates now. Thanks for that. I mean, to be fair, I'm just thinking about what's being announced today, and Andy Burnham is talking about a crackdown on subscriptions. I mean, Reform are talking about a bigger issue here, are they not? You know, there is a sort of a difference, you could say. Reform are talking about issues of national security and crime and justice. Andy Burnham seems to like these little sort of, I don't know, what are they? Just little tiny announcements that might make people feel a little bit better that day.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he spoke in the first speech on the steps of Downing Street about how he wanted to give people breathing room, and he knows that the cost of living is the sort of primary concern for most voters who are still feeling the effects of inflation being above the Bank of England's target of 2%. Of course, interest rates, there's still the potential that they get raised later this year. And so he does seem to be pursuing this sort of slightly incremental approach of sort of little bits on the side where he just hopes people will start to feel slightly better off, which are designed to add up to something slightly more significant. Of course, he can't do anything big because Parliament's in recess, and he hasn't yet obviously delivered his first budget with his Chancellor John Healey. So I think this is still sort of incremental, these sorts of announcements that he's looking at. But of course, the prison's announcement is trying to look ahead to something really significant that's going to happen in September when the new early release scheme comes into effect.
All the way through the party conference season until October when it starts. Aubrey Allegretti, thank you for joining us today. And now, as Aubrey triggered there, here's the by-election read of the by-election on the 30th of August. That's this Thursday after the resignation of Nigel Farage as Reform MP for Clacton. Here are all those 34 candidates.
Adam Al-Khatib, the Forward Party; William Stewart James Colston, Social Democratic Party; James Ransley, Consensus Party; Kai Stevens, the British Democrats; John Stevens, Rejoin EU; Nigel Farage, Reform UK; Lawrence Fox, the Reclaim Party; Martin Davies, Freedom Alliance, Real People, Real Alternative; Count Binface Party; Ketan Kumar Pipalia, UK Voice, Safer and Stronger UK; Marcus White, Everyone is God Party. Standing as independent candidates are Rhys Cowan, Andy Earlham, Glenn Charles Cummings, Ati Fard, Tony Francis, Robin Green, Abby Hookway, Stephen Richard Ingram, Amy Morris, Derek Norbert Morris, Michael Noel O'Keefe, Martin O'Brien, Nick Pellas, Daniel Pocock, Jerry Smith, Pamela Walford, Joseph 77, Tony Kane, Woke Trump Kazi, Mark Wilkinson. Standing for the official Monster Raving Loony Party is Baron von Thunderclap, Howling Lord Hope, Nick the Incredible Flying Brick.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Harwood. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First of all, say welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Right, well, we've got Andy Burnham on his cost of living drive around the country. Now he's back from holiday. We've got Reform UK setting out their stall on trying to get rid of foreign offenders, sending them off to El Salvador, if Lee Addison can sort things out.
Yes.
But how are the polls doing? Labour has moved ahead of Reform now, taking a 3-point lead.
That's right. The Ipsos Mori survey has found that Andy Burnham was the preferred choice for Prime Minister over and above Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch of the Tories.
But despite this boost for Labour, 7 in 10 people remain dissatisfied with the way the country is being run.
Joining us now is Head of Political Research at Ipsos UK, Gideon Skinner. Gideon, so the Burnham bounce is ongoing, but is it weakening?
I think it's early to say whether it's weakening or not. I think the question is more how long can it be sustained when Labour aren't just able to rely on Andy Burnham's personal popularity, but also actually need to take steps to turn around the sort of sense of public pessimism about the state of the country. I mean, it is good news for Labour. It's their best position in Ipsos polling for over a year. So, and there's clear evidence that Andy Burnham is personally popular and, as you just said, more liked than the other opposition party leaders. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the public are incredibly enthusiastic about the state of the country. And that's going to be the key question for him. Can he turn that into real tangible improvements for people's daily lives rather than just it being about his own personal popularity?
Sense that this is about him being a slightly more likeable character in some ways, more sort of user-friendly rather than he's done anything in particular. Is that right? Or are there actual policy announcements that have shifted the dial?
So it's partly about his image. I mean, he is seen as more likeable. He's seen as more in touch than Keir Starmer was. I mean, he is seen as still seen as a capable leader just as much as Keir Starmer was. There are some benefits from his time in Manchester, but focusing on the issues such as cost of living, though, is also going to be a key aspect of that. He's starting off with the public maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt in terms of his own popularity. He's taken away a lot of the reflex negativity that we were seeing towards Labour in the last period of Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister, but he's not necessarily replaced it yet with huge amounts of enthusiasm and huge amounts of positivity towards Labour. And that's where the next steps need to be. That's where it does need to be concentrating on kind of real policy changes that people can see in their day-to-day lives.
You look at the polling there, it's quite interesting to see how the Tories are just not cutting through, are they? I mean, despite the fact that journalists say how well Kemi Badenoch is doing, they're still down at 18%, and the Greens down at 12%, Lib Dems at 9%. I mean, so we were talking a few months ago about five-party politics. It's really two-party politics, isn't it, with the Tories in a distant third?
Well, it's still the case that Labour's lead over reform, it is there, but it's still within the margin of error, and we're still a long way away from where we were in the sort of the decades past of Ipsos's polling, where you would get Labour and Conservative combined on 70 or 80% of the vote. So it's still a fragmented system, maybe not quite as where it was a few months ago. And yes, we are seeing for the Conservatives in particular, they themselves are slightly up from where they were a year ago, but not massively. Kemi Badenoch is doing better. Her ratings are improving. They're still negative overall, but she's seen an 18-point rise in her satisfaction ratings since a year ago. But yes, it's not really feeding through into the party itself. There's still quite a lot of people, 1 in 5 people say they like Kemi Badenoch, but they don't like the party.
Yeah, and before you go, Gideon, on the Greens, did you think the issue we had with Zach Polanski, various stories around him in recent months, does that mean that their star is slightly waning as well?
So they are down a bit from their peak. They're down about 5 points from their peak earlier in the year. Zach Polanski, similarly, actually, he's not quite as liked as the Green Party itself. The Green Party is actually quite liked by people, but we have seen his ratings dip a bit. He's not quite as positive. Still very positively seen amongst young people, but amongst the public as a whole, his ratings have taken a bit of a slide over recent months.
Yeah. All right, well, Gideon Skinner, thank you very much indeed, Head of Political Research at Ipsos UK. Lots of people, aren't believing the results of this poll, saying, how can Labour be ahead at this stage?
Because I think he's doing quite well on social media. He's not talking to GBNews yet. I've been to 4 speeches.
Yeah, well, he better.
Yeah, it's a question from me, but we hope that'll change at some point soon.
Ridiculous. Britain's #1 news channel.
Yeah.
You should be here.
For an entire year.
Getting, quizzed.
Just do it. OK.
The questions we want to ask. Anyway, let's move on.
Moving on north of the border for 3 weeks in August, and I've been there several times. It's amazing. Edinburgh plays host to comedians, actors and artists from around the globe.
And we're talking about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, of course, and Andrew Pearce, GBNews presenter, is there having a lovely time. Andrew, so what have you found out? What's the goss?
Oh, Sarah's fine.
Well, it's amazing. This is Edinburgh's famous Royal Mile. This is home to a lot of the street entertainment. There are 4,500 different acts during this festival. It's worth £850 million to the Scottish economy. I'm with my great friend Sarah Vine, Mail columnist. We are both speaking about our books later on today with a serried rank of people such as the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. Sarah talking about her book, How Not to Be a Political.
How Not to Be Political. Well, we're having the most amazing time here. The atmosphere is incredible. It's really got going now, and they're just like, you don't even have to pay to see anything. You can just walk up and down the Royal Mile. We've bumped into these incredible
And look at this
kids.
lovely group here. They're called Aquila. They've come on a 10-hour bus ride from Exeter. The youngest performer is 13. Who's the oldest?
17.
17. And what's your show about?
So our show is called The Night of the Fox. So one of the things that I think makes it really prevalent is it looks into what could happen when the social media ban comes in and how teenagers are going to deal with that. So hopefully that means that people want to come and see this show because obviously that ban's coming in.
And does that mean you teenagers are going to get around the social media ban, are you?
We kind of do. I mean, the play mostly follows the missing of one of our friends, and it's kind of, we definitely have to navigate all of the emotions with the social media ban and with losing our friend. And
Do you not agree with this? You're Mr. Fox.
I am Mr. Fox.
How old are you, Mr. Fox?
I'm 14.
OK, and what do you think about the social media ban?
Well, in the play, I don't really think much about it because I'm in kind of my own separate world.
Right.
And then when a boy calls me, I bring him to me, and I have to kind of force his friends to come enter my world and save him.
OK, and who did your makeup?
The lovely Mrs. Gibson.
Mrs. Gibson, well done.
Miss Gibson's here.
There's Mrs. Gibson, the makeup fabulous Mrs. Gibson. Well, look, good luck with the show. How many shows are you doing?
We're doing 6.
6. Well, very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the way from Exeter. Lovely
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good to see you. And now we've got somebody over here who's who's this man here? Come here, Sarah. You're called Flash G.
Flash G.
Flash G. Now you do great card tricks apparently.
Well, apparently I do, but it's up to your opinion whether they are very good.
Yeah. Well, so here is my assistant,
Sarah.
Sarah.
The beautiful assistant. Now,
Fragrant, not necessarily.
what is your favourite card, please?
Queen of Hearts.
So I bring out the pack.
Right, let's see one more, just in case it's a fix.
Aye.
I'm going to say my favourite card is 9 of Spades.
Oh, good choice. Not many people pick the 9 of Spades. But if you could move your card over the top, the beautiful assistant.
What am I doing? That.
And one cheeky one upside down now in the whole back.
Okay.
So I've got to turn it around.
And what did you want?
9 of Spades. God, he's done it.
And I'll do one finale.
One finale, come on, Flash G.
Why not? It's Edinburgh Fringe after all.
It is.
I hope we're all having fun, everyone.
We're having a lovely time.
Can you shovel them, beautiful assistant?
We've been told off by the health and safety people.
Right.
Oh, for shoveling cards.
Right. Got to do it quick. Do it quick.
So they're all mixed up. They're not in any set order. They've been shoveled. Take any cards you would like, Chief.
There we are.
Take 2, actually.
2, yeah.
And one for the beautiful assistant. And then you give me one back. And then take the back. Show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you put it back in the pack anywhere you would like.
Right, anywhere you like.
Okay, put it back in the pack.
Right.
And just a final shuffle if you don't mind.
Okay, yes, of course. My wrist.
Just keep me on my toes.
What on earth is going on there in Edinburgh?
It's not quite Paul Downs and Devin McGee, is it? I mean, it's... Well, that was very impressive. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you so much. I've read both those books, and they're both brilliant.
I had a magician at my wedding.
Did you?
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah, I was impressed by that card being turned over in that deck, where Andrew called it as the 9 of Spades. Impressive.
Do you believe in magic?
OK.
Do you believe in magic?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GBNews. Lots more coming up.
Andy Burnham is promising to bring forward the ban on subscription traps to ease the cost of living. All of that and more to come.
But what we want to know is what he's going to do with PC Andrew Harper's killers. Are they going to be let out of jail on this early release scheme or not? We're going to be hearing from Catherine, aren't we?
That's right. The only meeting of the week with the lobby spokesman for the PM. The latest on that straight after the break.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a dry day for the vast majority today, with long spells of sunshine, especially in the south. And in the south, it's going to be very warm, if not hot again. Now, we've got high pressure building throughout the UK this time, so that means it is going to be dry for the vast majority. Even across northern Scotland, where we've had some rain through the weekend, it's mostly just showers. A strong breeze for the Northern Isles, otherwise lighter winds for many places, broken cloud and long spells of sunshine for many parts of England and Wales. That's where the highest temperatures will be. We're talking about the mid to high 20s widely. Could just about squeeze a 30 Celsius in the southeast, but it's not quite as hot as Sunday. A brief respite in the highest temperatures before the heat begins to build again through the next few days. Now, across much of Scotland, it's a fine and bright end to Monday. Plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west, a bit more cloud towards the east, but temperatures up to the mid to high teens. Northern Ireland, likewise, a lot of cloud cover, 1 or 2 spots of rain in the far north, otherwise a fine end to Monday. Best of the clear spells, though, for England and Wales, and clear spells remain overnight, just some patches of cloud here and there. A warm night for many. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, we will see a bit more cloud around at times and some showery rain coming into the far northwest of Scotland. That's where temperatures will drop to single figures in 1 or 2 spots. Otherwise, further south, it's warm, with temperatures in many places staying in the teens. Now we start off Tuesday with long spells of sunshine for England and Wales, southern Scotland, Northern Ireland also, but some high-level cloud will dim the sun from time to time. Thicker cloud and outbreaks of rain will affect northern Scotland, turning to showers into the afternoon, and then it's widely dry and increasingly warm. Temperatures up to 30 Celsius, Western England and Wales.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M27 westbound is closed at Junction 2 in Romsey due to a fire. The M2 eastbound is closed between Junctions 3 and 4 in Chatham. The M25 clockwise has an obstruction on the slip road at Junction 13 in Staines. The A12 is closed between Junctions 27 and 28 in Epping. In Scotland, the M8 eastbound has 2 lanes restricted between Junctions 19 and 18 at Charing Cross. Across Wales, the A40 from Landovery to Sennybridge is closed. And on the trains, the Elizabeth line is suspended between Hayes and Harlington and Heathrow Airport. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Let's go live now to Downing Street, where our chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, has been at a briefing with the PM spokesman, the only one of the week, so it really matters. Catherine, what have you learned?
Yes, good afternoon from Downing Street. Well, the first thing we've learned is that Andy Burnham, the new Prime Minister, is back inside because, of course, last week he took a long-planned holiday, some criticism given he'd only been in the job a couple of weeks at the time, but he's back. He is in listening mode, we are told, and he's going to be off on a summer tour over the coming weeks, hearing about people's issues, what they want to make life better for them. But he's come back. Sure, there may have been a bit of a bounce in the polls. He's pretty good at social media videos, isn't he? If not at taking questions from the press or GB News in particular. But some very thorny issues waiting for him. Top of the list, of course, is prisoner release. It sounds really like they have given up on blocking the early release of PC Andrew Harper's killers. We know, he says, that the Prime Minister shares the public's anger, wanted to go further, pushed hard, but they have ruled out changing the law for those who've specifically killed an emergency worker because they've said it's just not possible to exclude 1 or 2 offenders from a group of those who are guilty of manslaughter. Basically, legally, if somebody's committed manslaughter, you can't just say certain restrictions are going to apply for a couple of people. There's no way legally to do that. They want to stress that they are building 14,000 prison places. They say they've already got 3,200 since Labour came in. And we asked them, of course, about reforms plans because Zia Youssef and Nigel Farage have just had that press conference where they are saying they're going to deport foreign offenders to other countries and that they would build Nightingale prisons. I thought it was interesting that the Prime Minister's spokesman didn't actually say that the government were against either of those ideas in principle, but what they did say is that basically they would not be a quick fix. They said about the idea of sending people abroad, they said it would take years, that you'd have to have primary legislation. They said there'd be complex international agreements with other countries. And again, on Nightingale prisons, they said there was no quick option. But, you know, I think people will find it massively frustrating that the Prime Minister shares the public's anger, we are told, but it seems that they can't really do anything about it in the short term. Of course, they would say this is a problem that the Tories bequeathed to them and that they're doing the best they can. And the other big topic, of course, 230 crossing last night on that mega dinghy. I think we've got to stop calling them small boats. I mean, that was the size of a plane load of people, really, wasn't it? We hear that the Prime Minister says they are relentless and not complacent, and that this boat is, they say, a reflection of reckless and dangerous tactics of criminal gangs. They insist that they're making progress. They said, look, the number of people that crossed in July is the lowest for July since 2020. Crossings are down considerably over last year. 40,000 crossings have been prevented.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much indeed. Some thorny topics there,
well,
as
I
ever.
can just hear the coffee cups dropping in our viewers around the country when you hear the government cannot do anything to stop the release of those 2 individuals involved in the death.
What's the point of a government if they can't actually do something as simple as prevent.
You can rent jail space overseas. You can do a lot of things. You can spend money differently. You can perhaps cut the benefits bill and spend it elsewhere. There are priorities here the government can make.
He said he wanted to go further, he wanted to go harder, but he can't. And I'm sorry, you're the Prime Minister, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can change the law. You can let them be exemptions. You can... Anyway, we'll come back to this.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Reform announced plans to deport all foreign offenders from British prisons, changing the law so serious offenders serve their full sentence. And this also comes as the Sun newspaper reports 3 al-Qaeda terrorists could be released within weeks.
Now, if you want in search of some holiday sun, and frankly, why bother? It's warm outside. Here's a forecast for some of our top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. A lot of high pressure dominates much of southern Europe, with a lot of sunshine and some thunderstorms in the mix too. Those thunderstorms, particularly across parts of Turkey and Greece, where we're seeing temperatures into the mid-30s. Further west across Italy, temperatures into the high 30s and low 40s. And very hot across parts of Spain as well. But a little bit more in the way of cloud and slightly fresher conditions across the Canary Islands. Staying settled and hot throughout next week, temperatures peaking later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Charlie, as most of the viewers know, I would be involved in agriculture. This isn't quite agriculture. It's quite close to it, the cousins of. A lot of things that go on in agriculture are on display here. Thousands of people coming to this site, Ragley Hall, just about 45 minutes out of Birmingham.
We are the modern ruralists, and here today we have the craft yard. We've got 9 different crafts, all demonstrating what they're up to. Here we have the wheelwrights, and they're bonding a wheel here. So this is an ancient craft that's been going for about. Barney Murray's a bit of a legend, quite frankly. He's the national champion, master dry stone waller, comes from North Wales, and he's a bit of a Thor lookalike. So he's quite popular.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, at 16 minutes past 8, the annual bike ride from Yorkshire to London is taking place today, aiming to honour the legacy of the Batley and Spen Labour MP Joe Cox, who was murdered by a far-right terrorist in June of 2016.
Well, the bike ride aims to champion a cause she was passionate about, as this year marks the 10th anniversary of her tragic death.
Kim, if we can just start with you, what is your sister's legacy?
Well, there's so much that we've got to be proud of that's been done in Joe's name. It's just been 10 years since she was murdered, and what has kept us going as a family has been the way that so many amazing people, including people like this amazing man, have done things in Joe's name to show what our country is really about. And you've got all these amazing people today from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, celebrating the things that we have in common, not agreeing on everything.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
It's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think I would at this rate, because I think the government tracks, when we say we're fighting for Britain, what are we actually fighting for? The concept of Britain, I don't think exists anymore. When I look at Britain, when I go outside, it doesn't seem to be very British. And I think the core demographic of the people who would normally fight, these white working class boys who, you know, have been fighting for Britain, who we expect just to sacrifice their life in a fight, you know, they've been demonised for decades and decades by the government, by our education system, by the media. Economically, they've been disadvantaged. So why would we expect them to risk their lives when we've demonised them for so long and took them for granted for so long? And this concept of Britain fighting for the British government, you know, the British government has betrayed us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Andy Burnham is set to kick off his cost of living tour tomorrow. He's going around the country to hear directly from the public about how his government can improve their lives as he vows to deliver everyday fixes to ease the pressure of rising bills.
OK, well, joining us now is the founder of Money Magpie, Jasmine Birtles. I mean, Jasmine, is he, fiddling while Rome burns here? I mean, £2 bus cap. We're going to maybe have a little crackdown on subscriptions that people sometimes get on the hook for when they don't want to be, like their Spotify or whatever else. And what else have we had? 5p off our energy bills. I mean, does he not need to be looking at the economy as a whole and thinking, how on earth can I get this thing growing?
Yes, exactly. I think that's exactly how I felt. I thought, bless him, good for him, nice little things. I'm particularly pleased about the subscriptions because those are really annoying when you suddenly find money coming out of your account and you'd forgotten you'd even subscribed to this thing. But as you say, fiddling while Rome burns it's not even going to touch the sides. We're £3 trillion in debt. We're paying £110 billion a year in interest alone. We're printing. Last month, was it June, we borrowed £11.8 billion, and that was more than was expected by the OBR. We are massively spending over our means and it can't last, and it's going to get expensive and the government is going to inflate it away. So whatever happens, prices are going to go up because we are not running the economy properly.
I guess he's doing what he can within the limits he's got. He's trying to show he's easing the pressure of the cost of living crisis. I mean, there is an issue with subscriptions. We do take them out. We forget we have them. Occasionally you sign up for one thing you don't think you've got. And what should people do at home who are watching and listening? How should they deal with subscriptions they don't want?
Well, good point. At the moment, the law's not particularly strong. Certainly with well-known brands, you can often give them a call or email, say, I did not wish to be included in this. I want to cancel. I would have cancelled before if I'd been told about this. You should have told me. Now, what they're going to do as of January is they're going to tell companies that they have to tell you if, say, you've signed up for something for free and then later on it costs, or you've signed up to something for £100 and then it's £150, they have to let you know that the price is going up and that you're going to have to pay more at this time. So that will happen. At the moment, it's not quite so clear. If you've bought it on a credit card, you should be able to stop it with your bank. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that the contract has gone. That's still valid. So it very much depends on the contract and the company that you're dealing with.
All right, Jasmine Birtles, thank you very much indeed, founder of Money Magpie. I've got one subscription and I have no idea where it comes from, what email it's attached to, nothing. No. But every year, £89 comes out, and every year I get so furious and I try and work out where it's coming from.
Emily, that's a lot of nappies, Emily.
It's so annoying.
Turn it into nappies and do something about it.
I don't know how to get rid of it because I don't have any of the contact details.
Talk to Patrick and get on the phone to somebody.
He would not be able to deal with it.
Anyway, elsewhere, temperatures could reach 36 degrees centigrade or higher this week, forecasts have said, with possible impacts to railway lines and power networks, which aren't used to this kind of heat, as the Met Office considers issuing rare amber or red extreme heat warnings.
Well, Will Godley is out and about for us in Surrey. Will, is it very, very dry indeed there?
Certainly dry, yes, the grass looking incredibly parched. Probably not pleased to hear that a fifth heat wave is on the way here. People I've been speaking to, some of them looking forward and have been enjoying this glorious summer of hot weather. Others, though, say it's too much for them and they're perhaps looking forward to September and October and some rain. Lots of people here complaining about their gardens not looking as nice as they had hoped they would this summer. I should say as well, we've heard this morning from the UK Health Security Agency, who have now put all of England under these heat health alerts, and all of England apart from the northeast under these amber alerts. That's coming into force from tomorrow, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. They say they put these in place to ensure health and social services can prepare for the hot weather and also to encourage people to look after vulnerable family and friends. The bad news, though, you said, is it looking dry here? It's looking incredibly dry here. It could look even drier under other parts of England as well. We're going to hear from the government a little bit later on if they're going to impose further drought conditions elsewhere across the country.
All right, Will Godley, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the sun out there. Get the sun cream on. 36 degrees again. Oof.
This is... It's warm.
Toasty.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show, so don't go anywhere. Lots more on the weather, the small boats crisis, and a problem for Andy Burnham about prisoner release.
And I'm going to try and find whether I can sort out this subscription.
That annoys
once
me,
and for
Emily.
all. I'll write to Andy Burnham. You know, this isn't a new policy. He's just bringing it forward.
I'm going to have a chat with the office about 8 or 9 quid.
Yeah, I need it
Waste of
back.
money.
I need it back. 3 years it's been.
Welcome to Orla Santi by Domes Resorts, and there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good afternoon, it's 1 o'clock on Monday the 10th of August. I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Emily Carver.
We send people back to their country of origin, so it needs a phone call with Edi Rama from Albania, etc. And if they refuse, we then send foreign national offenders off to third parties.
Reform announces plans to deport all foreign offenders from British prisons, every single one, changing the law so serious offenders serve their full sentences.
But Downing Street has said it is not possible to exempt 1 or 2 offenders amid pressure over the eligibility of PC Andrew Harper's killers to be freed from prison from October.
Yeah, is that good enough? And a new record as a single mega dinghy carrying 230 illegal migrants arrives in Britain.
This comes as pictures emerge of a month-old baby being hauled onto a migrant mega dinghy on today's front pages.
Yes, Andy Burnham is back from his holiday and he's promising big things like bringing forward the ban on subscription traps to apparently ease the cost of living. But what is he going to do? Well, we found out he's not going to do very much at all about PC Andrew Harper's killers. We'll talk about that.
Reality bites for our new Prime Minister. And are you ready for yet another heat wave? The 5th of the summer. Temperatures could hit 36 degrees Celsius this week.
And this is something that got Christopher going this morning. Yes, the street artist Banksy has cost taxpayers almost £150,000 in cleaning operations and security so far. But should we be protecting his work? Some people love it. You know, he's got 3 million Instagram followers. Yeah. But is this art or is this vandalism?
These are all my pictures, by the way, taken when I saw the statue go up in Mayfair. I took pictures of it, and there were no barriers around it. The next day, security appeared, paid for by taxpayers. And why is this happening? Why can't Banksy cover the cost of his own art?
It ruined Christopher's trip to Mayfair. Anyway, football fail. One player celebrates scoring a goal, only to fall, look at this, only to fall straight down into that hole. It reminds me of Gemma Collins. Do you remember when she was on stage, I think at some sort of awards ceremony, and she fell through the floor?
Well, it reminds me of the Vicar of Dibley.
Yeah.
When Dawn French stepped into a puddle and went straight into it and swallowed her completely. Then the goal was disallowed, Emily. It gets worse.
I've never done something like that.
Have you not?
Of course not.
The worst thing I've ever done, literally, is walked into a lamppost at full pace. It was deeply embarrassing.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, it hurt. So. Say it wasn't funny walking to a lamppost. It really hurt. I was really having an intense chat with somebody at university, and I just went straight into it, and I got a really bruised head. Yeah, there we are. That's my life.
I had a skiing accident.
Did you? Well, you almost expect that, don't you?
My ligament.
Oh, did you?
But I had a French ski instructor called Eric rescue me.
Did he? Did he pick you up?
Yes.
Did he?
He was very handsome.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I was only about 13, so I was very chuffed.
Was he called,
actually, no, I think it was about 15, 16.
Well,
he was called Eric.
Oh.
Yeah,
Does Patrick know about Eric?
He does. I talk about him all the time. Not joking. I'm joking. By the way, for those asking, my wedding ring is coming back on Wednesday.
Oh, right.
I had a disaster with a wasp sting.
Did you?
People are concerned that I've got a divorce.
So you are still married. That's good.
We are still married. Anyway, that's enough about me.
So
enough about you.
What's the most embarrassing that's happened to you? Have you walked into a lamppost like I've done, or have you had Eric rescue you from the slopes like Emily? Or even, what do you think about Banksy? Should we be paying the cost of his art when he can probably afford it himself? Send us your views and give us your comments by going to gbnews.com/your say.
Yeah, I love it. Let's get to the headlines with Bethany.
Thank you both. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 1:03. Reform UK is promising to deport all foreign nationals from British prisons to free up space and end the early release scheme. If the party was to form the next government, they plan to send those who commit the most serious crimes like murder, manslaughter and rape to their home country to serve their sentence, or rent prison spaces in El Salvador or Kosovo. Reform's Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Youssef told us prisons are in crisis.
This is a national emergency. British people are literally being killed because there is not enough space in our prisons. We will change the law so that those who commit serious crimes like murder, manslaughter, rape and serious violence serve their full sentences. Unbelievably, there are over 10,000 foreign nationals in British jails. We will deport all of them, sending them to serve their sentences in countries like El Salvador or Kosovo if their home countries will not take them back.
Abdul Khan, an asylum seeker from Afghanistan who raped a 13-year-old girl, has been sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. GB News' national reporter Jack Carson has this story.
28-year-old Abdul Khan used the social media platform Snapchat to groom the schoolgirl, posing as a 14-year-old boy before arranging to meet her and then attacking her. His Honour Judge Watson in the sentencing today told the court that Khan had deliberately hidden his true identity and that it was part of a pattern of behaviour, as he'd also been in contact with one of the girl's friends and someone in Derbyshire. In a victim impact statement, the girl said that she still has flashbacks of Khan 3 or 4 times a week. The 28-year-old arrived in the UK in the back of a lorry in 2015 from Afghanistan.
GB News understands around 230 migrants have arrived in the UK overnight after crossing the Channel in what is suspected to be the most packed mega dinghy so far. A Home Office spokesperson has described the latest crossing as reckless and dangerous, accusing the criminal gangs of putting lives at risk by cramming huge numbers of people onto unseaworthy vessels. Nearly 1,000 migrants made the journey in small boats this weekend amid the warm and calm weather. The government says they're making progress with the lowest number of crossings recorded in July since 2020. Half of England and all of Wales are in drought, and more areas are expected to be declared today after an exceptionally hot and dry summer. The UK is heading into another intense heat wave this week, the 5th of the year so far, with temperatures reaching up to 36 degrees in parts of East Anglia and South East England on Thursday. Heat health alerts are already in place across much of England, with the Met Office considering issuing rare, amber or red warnings. And the Prime Minister is promising action against so-called subscription traps as part of his plans to tackle the cost of living. Andy Burnham has vowed to introduce new rules next year that would require clearer contracts, reminders and easier cancellations. The Conservatives have criticised the measures, though, as recycled policies rather than a fresh economic programme. Thousands of jobs are set to be supported by a new £65 million government boost to Britain's electric car industry. The industry will match the funding, creating a £130 million package. Ministers say the money will protect skilled jobs and strengthen manufacturing, as sales of petrol and diesel cars will end by 2030. Those are your latest headlines. Let's have a look at the markets.
Markets on the move. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.35 and 1.17 euros. The price of gold is £3,210 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 set at 10,874 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
OK, nearly 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel to the UK in small boats just last weekend.
Yeah, and they're not that small anymore, are they? A record 230 people were packed onto this single dinghy overnight. Absolutely enormous. That's the highest number recorded on one boat ever.
And unbelievably, a baby and several young children were pictured being carried onto packed dinghies as French police just watched from the beach.
Yeah, that's a months-old baby there in a baby grow, and you can see a little milk bottle resting behind. Extraordinary picture taken there by the photographer. Shall we speak to police and crime commentator Danny Shaw, who joins us now? Danny, obviously concerning pictures. The heart goes out to that little tiny baby who knows absolutely nothing about what's going on. But this is getting extreme now. 230 people on one boat. I mean, that's enough to fill an airplane.
It's frightening, isn't it? The pictures are really shocking. What they show is that these criminal gangs, these smuggling gangs, are absolutely ruthless. And through the government's efforts and law enforcement agencies across Europe, it's obviously become harder for them to get the boats, to get the equipment to the shoreline. And it's become harder for them to launch the boats in areas where they used to do it. And so what they're doing is changing tactics and getting slightly bigger boats and just cramming as many people as they can on them. I remember, going back when this problem started some, 6 years or so ago, perhaps even less than that, there were, 30 people on a boat. And that was thought to be quite a lot of people.
That's right.
So this just shows you the determination of these smuggling gangs to carry on with this trade because it's so lucrative for them. And they will, whatever the authorities do and make it more difficult for them, and there have been some successes. The numbers this year coming across the Channel are 43% down on last year and 16% down on where we were in 2024. So there have been some successes, but they would just carry on doing it.
Yeah, Danny, sure. It's absolutely shocking. I mean, is it to any extent the fact that boats are bigger, not smaller? Is this due to the squeeze on supply brought in by the smash the gangs ideas from Keir Starmer? Because boats are in short supply from Germany, maybe engines are in short supply from China. Is that why we're seeing bigger boats?
I suspect so, Chris. I mean, without asking the gangsters themselves, we can't have a definitive answer to that, but I suspect it's because of that crackdown. We know that criminal gangs, organised criminals, will look, at any way they can to get around the rules. It's a game of cat and mouse, and they will just carry on trying to find a way around it, particularly if there's money to be made. If there's no money to be made, they'll go elsewhere and they'll look somewhere else to make their money. But they clearly understand that there is still money in this very dangerous
Well, that's the
operation.
problem, isn't it? I mean, we can blame the gangs all we like, but you smash one, another one pops up. They find more dangerous routes to take. What needs to change is the pull factors, and the government isn't doing anything about that.
Danny, we've heard today from Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, on this very issue. Let's see what he had to say.
More than 950 migrants have crossed the Channel this weekend, and more than 2,500 since Andy Burnham became Prime Minister, despite Labour's pledge to smash the gangs. Now, your party wants to send some migrant criminals to El Salvador. Is this a serious, workable policy, or is this a Trump-style reaction to the Burnham bounce and your party's falling poll performance?
Sweden send prisoners, foreign prisoners, to Kosovo. So I think if Sweden do that and operate that principle, as well as America operating that principle, I would have thought that was a very grown-up way of approaching it. I have to say, I just find the sheer levels of inaction from both this and the previous government. They confront these huge issues and they appear to be incapable of doing anything to solve the problems.
Danny, sure, you heard there from Nigel Farage. He's talking there about Operation Fortress last week, using the Navy to tow boats back to French waters. Also today about deporting foreign national prisoners to other countries, Kosovo, El Salvador. Is Andy Burnham coming up against the hard reality of how hard it is to be in government? We see today from the issue of PC Harper, his killers now will probably be released in October, it seems, for what the government's saying. And that allows Reform UK to come in with what are quite dramatic responses, and they'll benefit in the polls.
Well, the harsh realities of governing are becoming clear, I think, now to Andy Burnham. I'm sure he knew of that beforehand, but there was obviously a honeymoon period for a week or so. And yeah, it's hard decisions and difficult situations and difficult problems that other governments have failed to resolve. I mean, I think the question about sending people to El Salvador, if we're talking about sending foreign national offenders, that's rather different from sending people who've come across on a small boat. The problem of sending people, foreign national offenders away, is rather different. There's a complete commitment and a will to sort of get them out of the country. But there's also, you have to think of victims, and how would a victim feel if, for example, someone is jailed for 8 years and after a year they're removed to a foreign country and you don't know if they're going to be imprisoned there. So there are some nuances and difficulties there. You also have to have the receiving country is prepared to take them. But if there's an agreement with a third country for people to be removed to spend their time in prison there, where it's undoubtedly the costs are going to be less than the £53,000 per prisoner per year it costs in the UK, then I'm all for that. But I just think there are practical issues. It's much easier when you're in opposition to suggest solutions. Yeah. I know that from having worked for Labour in opposition. It's much easier. You don't have the same scrutiny. You don't have to put your plan into practice. The reality is that if Nigel Farage enters Downing Street, he's going to be held to the promises that he's making now.
I'm all for creative solutions, to be honest. It's massive problems that the successive governments haven't been able to deal with. Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, Nigel Farage said about how Sweden sends to Kosovo. I think that's actually wrong. I think Sweden has sent prisoners to Estonia. I think it's Denmark that sent foreign prisoners to Kosovo. But just to be pedantic.
I mean, there is the point there of renting overseas jail space. The Tories did that, didn't they, Danny? So there are ways they can get around this, but it'll cost more money. Is that where we are with this government in terms of not releasing people convicted of manslaughter from October?
Look, on the prisoners question, I think the government has completely mishandled this, and I mean the government. I mean David Lammy when he was Justice Secretary. You can't blame Andy Burnham. He's inherited this mess. They completely mishandled the way they devised the early release scheme. They should, at the beginning, had a starting point to say that violent criminals and sex offenders would not benefit from early release, which means that perhaps more non-violent offenders would be released or have to be released even earlier in order to accommodate them. That's what they should have done, and they didn't, and now they're paying the price for that. In terms of renting space overseas, I think the Tories did look at this idea, but it's more complicated than you think, because prisoners do have rights to see family, to have visits. You've got to select the people carefully. If they're on short sentences, it's probably going to cost more to fly them there and back and so on. Then you've got court appearances. So there's a lot of things to consider, but absolutely think outside the box, be creative. I don't have a problem with that at all. And I think some imagination is required to unlock this issue with PC Harper's killers. I really do believe that there is sufficient room that can be provided in prisons to ensure that people convicted of manslaughter serving fixed term sentences of, let's say, 10 years plus, and I think there's about 200 of them in the system at the moment, there should be space to keep those people in prison.
There should be. Yeah, there should be. Danny Shaw, thank you very much indeed, police and crime commentator there. I mean, how can Andy Burnham, Chris, say, I understand the public's anger, passionately, etc., and then just not find a way to keep these two killers behind bars? He needs to, surely.
And Danny's idea of a 10-year plus being, so not all those convicted of manslaughter, which the government's hiding behind. If it's only 10 years plus, it's 200 people. Can't you find space for them? And we seem to be finding space for migrants in army camps. Why not repurpose an army camp, make it more of a prison camp? I mean, being imaginative, as Danny Shaw is saying, is why this government's changed Prime Minister.
I think more broadly, I think that sentences should mean sentences. If you get a 6-year sentence, should be behind bars for 6 years, regardless of what type of crime it is. But anyway, the Home Office have responded to the story on small boats. They say this latest incident demonstrates the reckless and dangerous tactics employed by the criminal gangs facilitating these crossings, who continue to put lives at risk by cramming ever greater numbers of people onto unseaworthy vessels.
They go on, and we are making progress with the number of small boat crossings down this year, as Danny Shaw was saying, and the lowest number recorded for the month of July since 2020. But we must go further, the Home Office says, which is why we have signed a payment by results deal with the French to put 40% more boots on the ground on French beaches.
All right, well, I believe we're going to be talking about prisons with a research fellow at the Henry Jackson Society, Emma Schubert. I did want to get your response to these 3 Al-Qaeda terrorists who could potentially be released from prison within a few weeks. Do you mind just commenting on that first?
Sure. So to be clear, we don't necessarily know yet if they will be released. Their minimum term is up. So this is a fixed term that the judge set when they were convicted. And once it is completed, it is about to be, they become eligible for release. It doesn't mean that they will be automatically released, but they are eligible for it. Now, in terms of the plot that they were a part of, in 2006, they joined an Al-Qaeda-inspired liquid bomb plot. This was a plan to smuggle homemade liquid explosives based on hydrogen peroxide into soft drink bottles. And they planned to get on multiple transatlantic flights with those from Heathrow, and they wanted to detonate those midair. So it's plots like this that we have to thank for the tedious airport security that we still, law-abiding citizens still are subject to because of this plot. So their hearings are set for September to November this year, and by then we will know if they will be released or not.
Your experience and research, how likely is it that these 3 men convicted of terrorism are now reformed characters? Could be now reformed characters. There's a big question mark over whether you can de-radicalise people like this.
It's true. I mean, this specific case sets a very high bar for the parole board to meet if they are to assess that they can be safely released, and the risk can be managed with regard to these 3 individuals outside of prison because they are life sentence prisoners. So the bar is much higher. Now, we do know that there are cases where people have been assessed as somehow reformed or de-radicalized, released out to the public, and then they went on to commit terrorist attacks. So hopefully the parole board assesses that these individuals, who, by the way, produced martyrdom videos leading up to the planned attack, and plan to kill themselves and others. Hopefully the parole board assesses that they are not fit to ever be released, but we will know in a few weeks' time.
The 2 hearings in September, 1 in November for those 3 men. And viewers may remember that's why we have those ban on liquids over 100 millilitres going through airport security, because of those 3 men and what they're planning to do. But more widely, these 3 individuals demonstrate to us, don't they, that there's always individual cases of egregious examples of people being let out of prison before their full term has been served, Emma. And what do you make of the idea from Danny Shaw there, that on the issue of those convicted of manslaughter, if you have a severe, longer term for manslaughter, over 10 years, that should mean you stay locked up. Maybe 200 criminals could be affected, and that could deal with the political wrap up the killers of PC Andrew Harper.
I think in general, we need to have a larger discussion about higher, longer terms and more strict terms for these kinds of cases, especially when terrorism is assessed to be the inspiration for these cases. So there have been, by the way, some prison reforms in terms of tightening up things like MAPA framework specifications, counterterrorism assessments for prisoners like this. However, they don't necessarily apply to these 3 individuals because they were convicted in 2010.
Yeah.
So just because of their minimum period that was set by the judge at the time, their tariff, as it's sometimes called, they're not necessarily subject to this. However, I do hope that the parole board will update accordingly.
OK.
All right, Emma Schubert, thank you very much indeed. Research Fellow at the Henry Jackson Society, a think tank that specialises in security and extremism and things like that.
OK. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Andy Burnham reportedly being presented with a new post-Brexit proposal to rejoin the EU's single market. Could Andy Burnham be the man to take us back into Europe?
Oh, well, that's a whole different ball of wax. All of that to come, but you're on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Time now for the Great British Giveaway. You've got 2 weeks left to grab your chance to win £60,000 in hard cash and a gold bar in our golden celebration.
What a fitting name. Here's Hayley Sparks.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts. I'm in one of their beautiful sea view rooms. Luxurious, right? And there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. There's over £65,000 in cash and gold to be won. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. That's cash you could save, spend the rest of the year spending, or just relax somewhere like here. The award-winning Soma Spa will also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Just make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 21st of August.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, hold on to your hats. It's 1:27 and the Prime Minister is about to go on his nationwide listening tour.
Where will he go first? This comes as Mr Burnham, there he is, has reportedly been presented with a new post-Brexit proposal. That's not it. That's not the proposal. That's a small boat to rejoin the European Union's single market. But in return, Britain would offer an extension of its nuclear deterrent and the use of its armed forces to help protect the continent.
All right, Labour MP Mike Reeder joins us now. Mike, thank you very much. Just a quick one on this European story. Are we edging closer and closer to some kind of new proper arrangement with the European Union? It looks like Andy Burnham is being handed lots of notes on how to do it.
I think we're all handed notes every day from many different parts
of
the political spectrum. But no, I don't think so. I think it started really well with resetting our relationship with Europe, making sure that we tackle things like food, energy, security. And Andy's picking up that mantle, and that's great for British taxpayers.
Well, Hamish Faulkner, the cabinet
Brexit
minister,
he's the guy in charge of Brexit.
Yeah, he's the guy in charge of it all, saying Labour's seeking a deeper relationship under Burnham. So something's going to change. They want to be ambitious within Labour's red lines. They're looking at the art of the possible, greater cooperation on services and things. I mean, is this shifting towards more regulatory alignment? Because, we had a vote not that long ago.
The government, Hamish also set out in that paper that we're not rejoining customs union and we're not moving towards rejoining the single market as well. So he's been very clear that there are red lines we won't cross. But we do need better alignment on energy, on food, on defence and on migration, those 4 things that really matter to people in their pockets. And so we do that by having a better relationship with our biggest trading partner.
Well, Mike Reed, I'll tell you what really matters to our viewers. It's these small boat crossings, or rather mega boat crossings we're seeing today. 230 arriving in a boat overnight. Over 2,500 since the PM entered Downing Street barely 3 weeks ago. Why can't he get to grips with it? That is the only question we're being asked so many times by GB News viewers and listeners.
Yeah, people want an immediate solution, don't they, to this problem? We've seen a massive cut since last year. I understand 40% less already since this time last year. And you're right, Andy came in as Prime Minister right at the height of the summer. We got flat seas and great weather. And these criminals take advantage of that. They put vulnerable people who pay thousands of pounds to try and get to the UK onto these boats and send them over to the UK. And I know Andy and his team are doing everything they can to continue that downward trend, to make sure we're going to stop.
Are they doing everything they can? Are they really doing everything they can?
I think they are. I think
Wouldn't it help to
Home Office
deport
ministers-
some of these people? Wouldn't that help?
I think there is always an argument for deportations. I understand deportations are up, and we need to keep pushing hard. We
Well,
need to tackle those gangs and we need to go after the
4%. I
smugglers.
think it's about 4% of small boat migrants make their way back to their home country, and presumably some of those volunteered to.
Presumably they did, but I think the numbers speak themselves. Crossings are down, deportations are up. The plan is working, but of course we can go harder, we can go faster.
We've got a picture of a tiny little baby on board one of these mega dinghies, just being held up by presumably his father. I mean, it's just getting extreme. It's completely extreme, whichever way you look at it, from a humanitarian perspective, from a national security perspective, from a cost to the taxpayer perspective. Surely, Mike, it's time now for Andy Burnham to actually talk to the country frankly about this issue and declare some kind of emergency.
I think we've got this summer now for Andy and his government to be setting out how they're going to tackle this.
Well, it's running out. It's 10th of August already.
Exactly. We've got the summer recess period now when ministers are hard working on these policies they can bring back to Parliament, make those announcements in Parliament, as is the right procedure, and start to tackle this challenge. As I said, crossings are down, deportations are up, but there is definitely more we can still do.
Elsewhere, of course, we hear today from Number 10 that they can't, they seem to be waving the white flag about having to release many, many thousands of criminals in October in the early release scheme, including 2 of the 3 men involved in the death of PC Andrew Harper. How is that possibly acceptable? You brought in a new Prime Minister to take a new look at ideas, and yet the solutions are the same ones which Keir Starmer came up with.
I feel really disappointed that the law, as it is set up, doesn't allow us to stop the potential release of these criminals early. My own police force has been part of the call for government to really look at that. I mean, there is a fundamental challenge here. The Conservatives didn't build enough prisons, and I can say that as someone who was working in industry in the construction sector on that, setting up teams for that prison building programme. And our government now has to work faster to build those prison places we need, so we don't have to rely on
Mike, you say you're disappointed with the law. You say you're disappointed with the law. The Labour government can change the law. Explain why Andy Burnham or the Justice Secretary aren't just changing the law. You say you're very upset about this.
I tell you, one of the things that I guess you don't really realise till you come into Parliament is how long it takes to make these changes. I came from industry. You want to change something, you click your fingers and it happens, right? You come into Parliament, it takes a year, 2 years for new legislation to move through that parliamentary process. And that's the challenge we've got.
You can do it in days if you want to. You know jolly well, when they want to change stuff, they can do it in a couple of days, both houses sitting, declare an emergency and make it happen. It can be done, Mike Reeder.
I think it could be done. That's one of the measures that I'm sure Andy and his team are looking at. But what we've got to make sure is we don't do something now which then impacts our ability in the future to keep prisoners in prison. And the law is I'm not a lawyer. It's a highly complex challenge that all the government's lawyers and I'm sure opposition lawyers are looking at as well.
Okay.
And if there is a solution to this problem, I'm sure it will be found.
OK, Mike Reeder, thank you very much indeed for your time, Labour MP there. Appreciate it.
OK. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show, Emily.
Oh, yeah, the street artist Banksy, you know him? He's cost taxpayers almost $150,000 in cleaning operations and security so far. Yes, this was his flag monument.
Yeah, those are my pictures.
Those are Christopher's pictures.
Yeah, but should we be protecting his work? After they took those pictures, the following day, Westminster Council deployed barriers and a security guard to protect his art. Why are we paying for this, Emily?
It's an outrage.
all of that outrage and more to come. Here's your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. Reform UK says Britain's prison system is causing a national emergency and has promised to deport all foreign nationals from prisons in the UK to free up space and end the early release scheme. GB News understands around 230 migrants have arrived in the UK overnight after crossing the Channel. Nearly 1,000 made the journey on small boats this weekend. An asylum seeker from Afghanistan who groomed and then raped a 13-year-old girl has been sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. Abdul Khan arrived in the UK on the back of a lorry in 2015. Amber heat health alerts have been issued for most of England as temperatures are expected to reach 36 degrees this week. You're up to date for now. I'll have a full roundup for you at 2 o'clock.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a dry day for the vast majority today, with long spells of sunshine, especially in the south. And in the south, it's going to be very warm, if not hot again. Now, we've got high pressure building throughout the UK this time, so that means it is going to be dry for the vast majority. Even across northern Scotland, where we've had some rain through the weekend, it's mostly just showers. A strong breeze for the Northern Isles, otherwise lighter winds for many places, broken cloud and long spells of sunshine for many parts of England and Wales. That's where the highest temperatures will be. We're talking about the mid to high 20s widely. Could just about squeeze a 30 Celsius in the southeast, but it's not quite as hot as Sunday. A brief respite in the highest temperatures before the heat begins to build again through the next few days. Now, across much of Scotland, it's a fine and bright end to Monday. Plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west, a bit more cloud towards the east, but temperatures up to the mid to high teens. Northern Ireland, likewise, a lot of cloud cover, 1 or 2 spots of rain in the far north, otherwise a fine end to Monday. Best of the clear spells, though, for England and Wales, and clear spells remain overnight, just some patches of cloud here and there. A warm night for many. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, we will see a bit more cloud around at times and some showery rain coming into the far northwest of Scotland. That's where temperatures will drop to single figures in 1 or 2 spots. Otherwise, further south, it's warm, with temperatures in many places staying in the teens. Now, we start off Tuesday with long spells of sunshine for England and Wales, southern Scotland, Northern Ireland also, but some high-level cloud will dim the sun from time to time. Thicker cloud and outbreaks of rain will affect northern Scotland, turning to showers into the afternoon, and then it's widely dry and increasingly warm. Temperatures up to 30 Celsius, Western England and Wales.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M27 westbound is closed between junctions 10 and 9 in Whiteley. The A12 is closed between junctions 27 and 28 in Brentwood. The A14 is closed between junctions 38 and 40. The M6 northbound has an obstruction at junction 3 in Coventry North. In Scotland, the M8 eastbound has a hard shoulder breakdown at junction 13. And on the trains, Elizabeth Line services are suspended between Hayes and Harlington and Heathrow Airport, with disruption between Romford and Shenfield, while Heathrow Express services are reduced to and from Heathrow terminals. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Well, 1:38 is the time. Good afternoon, Britain. It's me, Emily Carver, and Christopher Hope today.
It is. Now, taxpayers, that's you and me, we've been left on the bill for a bill of almost £150,000 to deal with the cost of 3 Banksy artworks. He's, of course, is a graffiti artist, we think, from Bristol. He's been daubing and putting up his art all over London, but figures obtained under a Freedom of Information request reveal that we are paying the cost of cleaning it up and, in some cases, security measures. And the overall cost should be rising further. Should taxpayers pay for Banksy protection? I don't think so. Emily?
Well, joining us now is Research Director at Taxpayers Alliance, Darwin Friend. Darwin, what position do you take on this as a representative of the taxpayer? I mean, Banksy is known and loved by some. Others find him an irritant.
Well, first of all, thank you both for having me on the show, and good afternoon. Well, I actually think the issue here isn't whether Banksy's a brilliant artist or a vandal. I think the real issue here is who's paying for it. And if someone decides, without permission from any authority, to use a public building as some form of canvas for their work, then I don't think it should be taxpayers who are forced to pick up their bill and effectively be an unwilling sponsor of that piece.
Just on screen now are my photographs from April when this statue went up in Mayfair. Nothing was around it. I was first on the scene, being a keen journalist. The following day,
well, actually, Chris, we actually have a picture of you, Chris.
You don't have a picture
We do. Look, there you are. Look,
no, that's not funny.
There's Christopher with a Banksy.
That's AI.
On Westminster Bridge, and he's trying to scrub it off.
Can I say, Darwin, that shows people here have too much time on their hands.
Now, hang on, are you scrubbing it off there, Chris, or are you actually joining in with the vandalism?
I am actually Banksy, obviously, according to that picture. But back to the topic at hand, and thank you, Jake, in the gallery for that. It cost £60,000 for Westminster Council to put up barriers and have a security guard overlooking that statue in Mayfair. That suggests to me a collusion between authorities and Banksy. So is Banksy just part of the establishment, or is it meant to be a way of giving his own artistic thoughts to the public realm? What's going on here?
Well, congratulations to you, Chris, for being the first on the scene to get those shots of the statue. But I think the concern here for taxpayers is that, as you mentioned, it's £60,000 the cost to Westminster Council to effectively secure this statue that's been put up by him. And when you think about how much that's actually costing residents in Westminster, that's equivalent to 111 average Band D council taxes paid in Westminster City Council. And so when people are thinking about what they're actually paying their taxes for at the end of the day, that they've gone out and worked hard for as well, they're thinking it's about bin services at the local level, not simply securing a statue that no one asked to be put up in the first place.
I'm not sure who that is there. I think they may be protecting a daub. Yeah, on the Royal Courts of Justice, I think that was where...
That was there.
And there's them cleaning it. That's not me cleaning it, that's somebody else.
I put to you that we're particularly wound up by Banksy because often his creations depict sort of left-wing causes, right?
Well,
I mean, the one with the flag, presumably that was to talk about how awful the flag-waving far-right racists
Yes, and the guy was marching with the flag on his face. He couldn't see where he was going, so he was attacking people who get behind the flag for various political reasons. I just think, Darwin, friend, am I being grumpy? Is Emily right? Are we just basically getting a bit upset about someone who's doing his best to cheer us up with some witty daubings?
I don't think you are, Chris, actually. I think it's a perfectly fair criticism to ask of how are we actually spending taxpayers' money. And £150,000 on murals, whether you like them or loathe them, is a lot of money. And when you think about the fact that we're going on for a record tax burden, we're already spending significantly more than we normally do outside of wartime in terms of government spending, then I think people will rightly be asking, hang on, I'm losing all of my income to give to the government to spend on things that I expect them to deliver as services that are going to help people, and actually what they're doing instead is cleaning some artwork and securing artwork on either the Royal Courts of Justice or a statue in Westminster Council. This isn't what people pay their money for.
The heart of the issue here is, would you spend your money this way, or would you spend it on something else, maybe opening up a closed public lavatory costing £60,000 a year, or wherever it might be? That's the question I think these councillors should be asking themselves.
No, absolutely, Chris. And I think the thing that people often say when it comes to these stories is, oh, you can ignore that because it's only £150,000. When the real question we need to be saying is every single penny misused by public authorities to clean up things like this are things that can't be spent on delivering public services that people really need and care about, or it's a penny that can't be left in people's pockets instead of being given to the state in the first place. And so I think we need to think about this in the big picture of government spending and also taxation levels at the moment.
But while we've got you, Don, I should say what some authorities are saying about this. The Royal Courts of Justice, they say that their building is listed and they are obliged to maintain its original character. So that's why we're paying for that bill. But I do have a problem with paying for security around an art installation which has got no planning permission.
Fair enough. Well, Darwin, friend, thank you very much indeed. Research Director at the Taxpayers Alliance. Some of you get in touch. Lambert says Banksy is now more establishment than the establishment. Yeah, that's quite funny. And Valerie says they should sell it off and use the balance of the money for local clean-up projects. And Margaret is asking whether Banksy pays taxes. Well, I'm sure he pays his taxes where due. Yeah. And Bugsy says, when I realised Banksy was 81 years old, it changed my view. Is he?
Is he? No,
I don't know who he is.
Not that old. But Westminster City Council, which paid for that security and the barriers around the statue in Mayfair, say this: the ownership of the statue, it now sits with the council as the landowner. That's interesting. The council has notified the artist agent that it's reviewing options for the short, medium and long term, so that it's now their statue. So perhaps they can sell it and pay the money back to us for paying for the cost of looking after it, Emily.
Well, yeah, I mean, Robert just says get Banksy to pay for all of this, but if it's now the council's property, they're responsible for it.
It's mine. We all own it.
Yeah, well.
There we go.
Did you see that one got chopper going this morning? This afternoon, I mean.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News.
You got lots more coming up. I think it's fair enough. Today, politicians, comedians, actors and a whole range of famous faces and lovies flock to Edinburgh for the annual Fringe Festival.
Including Andrew Pearce.
Yeah, Andrew, hobnobbing about.
Now, if you want some search of holiday sun and why bother, it's boiling outside. Here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. A lot of high pressure dominates much of southern Europe with a lot of sunshine and some thunderstorms in the mix too. Those thunderstorms, particularly across parts of Turkey and Greece, where we're seeing temperatures into the mid-30s. Further west across Italy, temperatures into the high 30s and low 40s. And very hot across parts of Spain as well. But a little bit more on the way cloud and slightly fresher conditions across the Canary Islands. Staying settled and hot throughout next week, temperatures peaking later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Yes, the Malaysian government has announced that it will renew the search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago without a trace.
Yes, the plane was carrying 239 people from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Previous attempts to locate the plane have all failed, leaving the families of those on board without any kind of closure.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Terry Tozer, a former airline pilot and author of Confessions of an Airline Pilot, Why Planes Crash. Terry, you sound like the perfect man to talk to about this, because this is perhaps the biggest aviation mystery of our modern age.
Yeah, it is, and obviously a great tragedy as well. It's good to know that they're going to have another crack at trying to find it.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is just health and safety gone mad. It's not the role of public authorities to be telling people what's for their best interest. And the reality is it's probably better to take the chance of a tree branch falling on you than going out in the sun and getting getting burnt in the sun. But the reality is, the reason why these councils are saying you've got to stay out of underneath the trees is they don't want anybody to get struck by a branch which they have a liability to, whilst they don't have a liability for anybody getting sunburnt. So it's all to do with public liability. I mean, if you look at East Cheshire Council, for example, in 2024, they had to pay out £500,000 because a branch fell on somebody.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In my hand, I have a colander. I have a piece of paper. Yes, there you have one too. So I'm going to run it so you can see me. So I think what you do is you shine, you indicate, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you.
You never look at the sun directly.
Yep,
you allow the light to go through the colander, and that'll actually act as a pinhole camera and project images of the sun onto the piece of paper, and then you can look at the piece of paper and see the eclipse take place. Simple as that. You can do it also by using binoculars or a telescope and projecting an image through from them onto a piece of paper. That will work just as well. Or get a bucket of water, let it settle, and look in the bucket of water, and you'll see the image of the sun in the water, and then you can observe the eclipse that way.
GB News, the People's Channel.
All right, 1:49 is the time, and thousands of people have flocked to Edinburgh for the annual Fringe Festival.
Performers from across the globe have gathered in the Scottish capital, including Amanda Knox, whose comedy show has certainly split audiences.
Yeah, there's lots of controversy there. GB News national reporter Sophie Reaper is there. Yes, Sophie, people were trying to get Amanda Knox cancelled, weren't they?
They were indeed, but I have to say, the atmosphere here, I've not been here too long, my train only got in about half an hour ago, but already I'm well immersed. You're joining us here on the gorgeous Royal Mile here in Edinburgh, and there are going to be around 4,000 acts performing over the next 3 weeks, so it's a huge, huge endeavour that's put on every year here in Edinburgh. So shall we speak to the cast of one of the acts, Imagine. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to me about Imagine. What is it? I think we're going to see some performances happening around us, guys. There's some tapping, there's some dancing. Here he is. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Imagine, it's a music review. We do Disney music and pop music, musical theater. We can all dance, we can all sing, we all have a little solo. I sing some Elton John. She's singing Adele.
Yeah.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold, lonely light that shines from you.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I would clap, my hands are full. And did you, a bit of Adele, did you say?
A bit of Adele.
Come on.
Let the sky fall and it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together at Skyfall.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for that. Talk to us about what it's like to be at the Fringe. Is this your first time? How has it been?
Our show came here 3 years ago and they sold out every performance. So we loved it so much we wanted to come back. We travel all over the world every year and we wanted to come back to Scotland. And it's a great opportunity. There's so many people here. We want to get the word out about our show.
Yeah. And if you could describe the show, I'm going to come to each of you. If you had one word to describe this show, what would it be?
Fun.
Great one.
Energetic.
Fun. She already said that. It's so fun.
Double the fun.
Lots of energy.
Very nice. So lots of fun, lots of energy. Guys, thank you so much. If you're here at the Edinburgh Fringe, make sure you check out Imagine. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
And that is just one of, like I say, the thousands of acts. Last year they sold over 2.6 million tickets. So as I say, it's absolutely huge. The atmosphere is unreal. There are acts completely surrounding us here on the Royal Mile. You cannot look around you without seeing some kind of performance. It's absolutely fabulous. What a day here in Edinburgh.
Have you bumped into Tom Harwood, my co-host? He's apparently up there having a good time.
I have not, Emily, but I'll keep my eyes peeled for him. If he does, we'll maybe see if we can get him to join us for one.
Fantastic. Sophie, thanks so much. It looks lovely. What perfect weather for it, eh?
Oh, my goodness me. I can recommend anyone to go there for a few months or weeks.
Oh, sorry. So what's it actually like, Chris? So do you have to book things in advance, or can you just rock up to places and venues?
Yeah, it's mainly online now. There's a gilded balloon. There's the all sorts of these long-standing venues. They're saying that's
so
on
are they
George
in theatre
Street.
halls, pubs, clubs?
And they take over parts of churches, church halls. There's 400 venues. There's many thousands of acts every day, and you see famous comedians trying out new material, older comedians with older material, and you see young kids performing, as you saw there with Andrew Pearce earlier, and energetic, and they just the energy of the place. It is absolutely inspirational and great fun. I mean, yeah, I can 100% recommend anyone to go there if they can.
Well, fantastic stuff. We're going to be there all day reporting, and perhaps tomorrow as well, I'm not sure.
That's right.
If it goes on for a few days, doesn't it?
Sophie's there, Andrew Pearce, and also Tom Harwood may even appear some point this week.
Yes, but Andy Burnham is back in town and he's doing his little national tour, trying to find out what people are worried about. But it seems that he has no idea what he's going to do about PC Andrew Harper's killers, saying he can't really do anything, in fact.
And why can't he? He's in power. After talking about being PM, he now is PM.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He can change the law if he wants to. Anyway, Reform announced plans to deport all foreign offenders from British prisons. Yes, they want to get very tough indeed. El Salvador is on the list of potential countries where we could send people. Lee Anderson is in charge of those negotiations.
But first, here's the weather.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Metalvis for GB News. It's a dry day out there for most of us. Clear spells across the board, cooler overnight compared with how things will be during the rest of the week. We've actually had some respite from the heat through the day. Compared with Sunday, temperatures have been a few degrees down, but we've got high pressure extending across the whole of the UK. That's helping to kill off the showers. Shetland and Orkney, although an area of cloud and some patchy light rain will push into Western Scotland and Northern Ireland overnight. Elsewhere, clear skies remain. And under those clear skies, with lower humidities compared with recent days and nights, actually, it will be fresh in places. Not everywhere. It's still going to be warm in the south and southeast, but further north and west, temperatures in some shelter spots dipping into the single figures. Now we start Tuesday with a lot of dry weather up and down the UK, one exception, northwest Scotland, where it will be a damp start to the day for Lewis, Harris. Into the west coast there, some thicker clouds, some drizzly rain. But towards the east and south across Scotland, drier, brighter and some brightness first thing for Northern Ireland. But the best of the sunshine through Tuesday morning will be across England and Wales. Yet again, it's dry through Tuesday and the rest of the week, indeed, in those areas where we most need rainfall. It's also going to be turning hotter. After that fresher night, humidities and temperatures are rising during the days ahead. Widespread sunshine across central and southern Scotland into England and Wales and Northern Ireland will boost temperatures. We keep the thicker cloud in the north and northwest of Scotland, some spots of light rain, but otherwise it's dry, bright and hotter. Temperatures reaching 29 or 30 Celsius. Western England and Wales, a little bit cooler along the east coast of England for now because of a breeze from the North Sea. But overnight we keep the clear skies and it's a warmer night to come with humidities rising. Now plenty of sunshine to come through the rest of the week and temperatures in some places reaching the mid-30s, so turning much hotter.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orla Santi by Domes Resorts, and there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition, from 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Monday, the 10th of August. I'm Emily Carver.
And I'm Christopher Hope. Pause.
We send people back to their country of origin. So it needs a phone call with Edi Rama from Albania, etc. And if they refuse, we then send foreign national offenders off to third parties.
Plans to deport all foreign offenders from British prisons, changing the law so serious offenders serve their full sentences.
But Downing Street has said it is not possible to exempt 1 or 2 offenders amid pressure over the eligibility of PC Andrew Harper's killers to be freed from prison. So, will they be let out early?
Elsewhere, a new record is set, an unwelcome record too. A single mega dinghy carrying 230 illegal migrants arrives in Britain.
Yes, this is a picture emerges of a months-old baby being hauled onto a migrant mega dinghy.
Well, the government saying there's a relentless focus on the small boats crisis and they are determined to get the numbers down. They're not complacent, but 230, it's not even a small boat anymore. It's a plane load of people.
Andy Burnham, there he is, back from his holidays, promising to bring forward a ban on what they call subscription traps to ease the cost of living. But what's he going to do about PC Andrew Harper's killers, who are still set for early release from October?
And a football fail, yes. One player celebrates scoring a goal, then leaps and falls straight down a hole just moments later. And then the goal was disallowed.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Terrible.
Elsewhere, Brits looking for even more sun are abroad in Benidorm.
Oh, yes.
And the best person for there is Dougie Beattie. Dougie does Benidorm. There he is on screen. He's there talking to holidaymakers.
He loves it. Bit of a change there for Dougie. He was in Ceuta. Last week, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Reporting for us on the migrant crisis there.
Yeah.
And now he's in Benidorm.
But
with the Brits.
Do you want to be in Benidorm when it's boiling hot here? I guess you're near the water in Benidorm, so you
You're
can
near
have a
the
swim.
water. You've probably got, £2 cocktails going.
Yeah, sangria's flowing.
Sangrias are flowing.
Dougie does Benidorm. What a thought.
He's going to find out. I'm sure there'll be lots of our viewers out there having a nice time.
Quite right. I'm jealous, very jealous. But I was away in Guernsey last week, which I can fully recommend to any
Was
viewers.
it nice?
Yeah, it was lovely. It was great beaches, free parking. If you had some form of timer, piece of card to show how long you'd been there for. So it was like Cornwall without the cars. So
Cornwall without the cars.
I can recommend that. And the issue of the occupation by Germany, the Nazis, of course, back in the Second World War, that is really interesting. There's lots of the museum there I went to, which is amazing, full of Nazi memorabilia, and how the Guernsey folk there dealt with it. I found out what Guernsey people are called, what they're called.
I don't know.
They're called donkeys.
Oh.
Because they're stubborn, and they
Sounds like an insult.
and they kicked out the Nazis when at the end of the war, which is fantastic.
Very good on them.
It's really, really interesting. No,
I often fail to do any cultural things besides drinking and eating when I'm
yes,
abroad.
that was our one thing we did over a week.
Oh, that's good.
Not
Okay.
saying we were ever in museums.
You had some time of just lying on your back with your Kindle.
Reading books. Yeah, quite right.
Checking on the political news from afar. More relaxing, eh?
Trying to tune out, but
what is Andy Burnham going to do about PC Andrew Harper's killers?
it's really
because
serious,
he's spoken to the victims' families, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he said he understands the public's anger, but now sort of saying, "Oh, sorry, we can't change the law." But you can.
It's not enough.
That is in your gift. You're the Prime Minister.
It's not enough to say you get the anger. If you're in power, you do something about it. Now, Reform UK, they can get away with their big ideas about deporting foreign national prisoners, stopping the boats with the Navy, because they're not in power yet. But if they were in power, Emily, we'd be asking them, why aren't you doing this, Nigel Farage? And he'd have the same pressure on him that we're putting on Andy Burnham. If you want us not to release these killers, don't release them.
Well, they'd have to. I don't know how far they could get with negotiations being an opposition party. I mean, if you rock up, Lee Anderson rocks up to El Salvador and, speaks to the leader over there asking, can we rent some spaces in your prison? I mean, it's all very hypothetical, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, but that's fine. You're in opposition because that's how it should be.
We need politicians to think outside the box, though. I mean, it's getting ridiculous that we can't solve these problems. Talking to that Labour MP who says, well, the law's the law. Well, you can change the law It's very possible to change the
With
law.
the issue of PC Andrew Harper, they're saying they can't afford to have not release all these manslaughter convictions. But as we heard earlier, didn't we, on the show there, that as Danny Shaw was saying, that if you're in prison for more than 10 years, that should be the threshold, and that would include those who shouldn't be released. That might work. That's a smaller number of 200 criminals.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that anyone is up for early release, to be honest.
But think outside the box.
No
surely.
crime is victimless, really.
It's not.
If you think about it. GBNews.com/your say. Do get in touch. Also about this dinghy with 230 people on it. Absolutely crazy.
Let us know what you think. But first, here's your news headlines with Bethany Elsey.
Thank you both. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 2:05. Reform UK is promising to deport all foreign nationals from British prisons to free up space and end the early release scheme. If the party was to form the next government, they plan to send criminals back to their home country to serve their full sentence or rent prison spaces in El Salvador or Kosovo. Reform's Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Youssef told us prisons are in crisis.
This is a national emergency. British people are literally being killed because there is not enough space in our prisons. We will change the law so that those who commit serious crimes like murder, manslaughter, rape and serious violence serve their full sentences. Unbelievably, there are over 10,000 foreign nationals in British jails. We will deport all of them, sending them to serve their sentences in countries like El Salvador or Kosovo if their home countries will not take them back.
Abdul Khan, an asylum seeker from Afghanistan who raped a 13-year-old girl, has been sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. GB News' national reporter Jack Carson has this story.
28-year-old Abdul Khan used the social media platform Snapchat to groom the schoolgirl, posing as a 14-year-old boy before arranging to meet her and then attacking her. His Honour Judge Watson in the sentencing today told the court that Khan had deliberately hidden his true identity and that it was part of a pattern of behaviour, as he'd also been in contact with one of the girl's friends and someone in Derbyshire. In a victim impact statement, the girl said that she still has flashbacks of Khan 3 or 4 times a week. The 28-year-old arrived in the UK in the back of a lorry in 2015 from Afghanistan.
GB News understands around 230 migrants have arrived in the UK overnight after crossing the Channel in what is suspected to be the most packed mega dinghy so far. A Home Office spokesperson has described the latest crossings as reckless, accusing the criminal gangs of putting lives at risk by cramming huge numbers of people onto unseaworthy vessels. Nearly 1,000 migrants made the journey in small boats this weekend amid the warmer and calm weather. The government says they're making progress, though, with the lowest number of crossings recorded in July since 2020. Amber heat health alerts have been issued for most of England as temperatures are expected to reach up to 36 degrees this week. The risk to the public health will remain in place from Tuesday to Friday. Meanwhile, half of England and all of Wales are in drought and more areas are expected to be declared today after an exceptionally hot and dry summer. Meanwhile, firefighters are continuing to tackle a devastating blaze at the New Forest National Park, which is apparently rarer than in rainforests. The blaze was started after a vehicle caught fire on the nearby A31. The area is protected heathland, which is home to a number of rare species, including all 6 UK native reptiles. 26 fire engines and 4 water carriers were tackling the flames yesterday, but the effort has since been scaled back. And fewer than 1 in 5 women in England took folic acid before becoming pregnant last year, with experts warning the figure is falling. New research shows uptake has dropped from just over 26% in 2021 to under 19% now. Folic acid can help prevent serious birth defects, with researchers calling for better advice to ensure women planning a pregnancy know its benefits. Those are your latest headlines. I'll be back in half an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Welcome back. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. It's 2:09. Now, nearly 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel to Britain in small boats last weekend.
That's right. A record 230 people were packed into a single mega dinghy overnight. There it is, the highest number recorded on a single small boat. But let's not call them small boats. They are large boats.
Yeah, they're big boats now. A baby and several young children were pictured being carried onto packed dinghies as French police watched from the beach. Yes, this tiny little baby must be, 6 months old, if that, on board in these precarious situations. No life jacket, because apparently the baby was too small for a life jacket.
And no choice over what's happening to him either.
Absolutely no choice. Well, GB News chief political correspondent Catherine Forster joins us now. Catherine, let's start with the boats issue. The government's saying that they're doing their best, essentially, but with this new news of these absolutely massive boats, surely it's time for some kind of emergency action.
Well, they are adamant that they are doing everything that they can. They say the crossings are down 40% where we are this year compared to where we were this time last year. They say that 40,000 crossings have been prevented by the French. Of course, most of these people come to the north coast of France and then they try. If at first you don't succeed, you just try again until you get across. They've got a new pay-by-results deal with the French. And they say that they're making progress. Also, the number of people that came across in July is the lowest since 2020. But certainly, we say the small boats crisis. The word small doesn't seem to fit anymore. 230 in one boat that arrived in Dover at 2:30 in the morning last night. That smashed the previous record of about 170. And I think we had nearly 1,000 cross the Channel just last weekend, making, I think, 2,500 since Andy Burnham became Prime Minister. Now, he was asked about this very recently, and he said that he would have a relentless focus upon it. We're told that the government is not complacent, but I think people will look at this and just think, when are you going to get a grip?
Well, that's right, Catherine Forster. I mean, the issue here is Reform UK have got all of its ideas to tackle the crisis in prisons, the crisis at the border, but the guy in charge, the new Prime Minister with new ideas, appears to be running out of them 3 weeks into office.
Well, yes, he's back from his week's holiday. He had a pretty good start, a bit of a boost in the polls, but now he's colliding with the hard reality that these are very difficult problems that Keir Starmer had as well. And no matter how good he is at social media, no matter how affable he is, this stuff is very, very difficult. And Reform have had, I think, 3 press conferences the last 8 days. One saying we're going to turn the boats back. Plenty of people saying that's not workable. Today they were focusing on prisons. They say that, they'd build sort of pop-up Nightingale-style prisons to supply prison places. Also, that they would send all foreign national offenders overseas, either to their country that they come from, or if not, to places like Kosovo, perhaps either to Central America. Now, we asked about this in lobby, and the government, a Prime Minister's official spokesman, didn't say, well, it couldn't be done, but he did say this is no quick fix, that to send people abroad, they said, would take years because they'd have to have primary legislation, then complex international agreements with other countries. And on the killers of PC Andrew Harper, Andy Burnham had said he wanted to see what could be done, shares the public's anger, we are told, but we know now that they have ruled out changing the law to exempt the killers of emergency services workers from early release, because they've said it's just not possible to exclude 1 or 2 offenders from a group of those guilty of manslaughter. Their argument is that legally you'd have to then exempt everybody who's guilty of manslaughter. You can't just exempt a couple of people selectively, that you legally cannot do that. And of course, there's large numbers of people in prison for manslaughter. So it seems to be a non-starter for all the sympathetic rhetoric coming out of Number 10.
Catherine Forster, thank you very much indeed. Our chief political correspondent there outside number 10. Now, we're going to return to a shocking story, a case here. An Afghan asylum seeker who raped a 13-year-old girl has been sentenced now to 9.5 years in prison at Nottingham Crown Court.
Abdul Khan was also convicted on Friday of charges relating to sexual communication with a child, meeting a child, following grooming and perverting the course of justice.
Now, Khan arrived in the UK illegally back in 2015, not on a small boat, on a lorry.
GB News national reporter Jack Carson joins us now with the latest on this shocking story. Jack.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, Abdul Khan used the social media platform Snapchat to pose as a 14-year-old boy and groom the girl before arranging to meet her in the Clifton area in a nature outside her school initially, before taking to a nature reserve, and then that is where he raped her. As you were saying, the 28-year-old arrived in the UK in the back of a lorry from Afghanistan in 2015, and this is where the next part of the story is, because he'd given one date of birth in his asylum application as the 26th of December 2004, but as this trial heard and as the sentencing hearing heard again today, it is believed his date of birth is actually in May 1998. He was convicted last week on 2 counts of rape, sexual communication with a child, meeting a child following grooming and perverting the course of justice. Sentencing him today, His Honour Judge Watson said, in May 2025 you're in contact with a girl you thought to be 14. That was part of a pattern of behaviour, as you were also in contact with one of her friends and a girl in Derbyshire. You continued to message her, and that contact quickly became sexual. She thought she was communicating with a boy of her own age because that is what you led her to believe. He said in his sentencing remarks, you deliberately hid your true identity, and it's a lie that you continued throughout these proceedings. Of course, that is where this charge and eventually this conviction of perverting the course of justice has come from, because he'd lied during the trial, saying that he had a fictitious account that he was set up by a drug dealer, but the judge said today that he was satisfied he was in his mid-20s. And just finally, we have got a statement from Detective Constable Madeline Johnson of Nottinghamshire Police reacting to this sentencing today, saying Khan is an opportunistic and predatory offender who poses a clear risk to teenage girls and other young women, and his previous grooming conviction demonstrates he was absolutely determined in his ambition to strike up sexual relationships with young girls.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Jack Carson there outside Nottingham Crown Court. I mean, it's another case of a young man who entered this country illegally. I mean, God knows what he's been doing for the last 10 or so years here, raping a young girl, 13 years old, pretending to be a 14-year-old in order to... Oh, it's just disgusting. And I mean, there's a statement from the prosecutor saying she feels numb when she thinks back to how she felt at the time, scared of the world after it happened. Flashbacks, she sees his face and what happened. She feels like she can't trust anyone. I mean, I'm not surprised.
I mean, young children groomed...
At such a young age.
Yeah, it happens across the board, I'm afraid, in our society. Now we've got a migrant driving by lorry doing it too. It's appalling, but...
absolutely appalling.
In the same vein, Reform UK has vowed to deport all foreign nationals from British prisons.
Yeah, the party's Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Youssef revealed offenders could be sent to countries like Kosovo or El Salvador to serve their sentences.
Reform UK prisons advisor Vanessa Frake joins us now. Vanessa Frake, how much will all this cost? It's all very well having good ideas in opposition, but I think we got a flavour from Zia Youssef. It will cost lots and lots of money, and we haven't got it.
Well, look, you know, the prison service is in such a state that, yeah, it is going to cost money. There's no doubt about that. But what's the alternative? We early release people like the killers of PC Harper. You know, sometimes you've got to take the bull by the horns and do something rather than just sit back and say, oh, well, the easy option is to just early release everybody.
So how do you think this would work? I mean, do you know much about the El Salvadoran prison system? I mean, it's spoken about, it's pretty harsh, isn't it? Is that the sort of country you'd want to send our criminals to? Well, foreign criminals.
Well, foreign criminals. let's get that right. We're not saying British criminals would be sent there. But look, if you come to this country and you commit crime and you get jailed, why should the British taxpayer pay for it? The Seacot that you're showing is literally the most hardest prison in El Salvador. Most of it is ganglands. But there are other prisons. You know, it's easy to, you know, say that we're going to send them all to Seacot, because we're not. That, as far as I'm aware, when we go and visit some prisons in El Salvador, you know, they will still have to meet certain standards.
Yes.
But El Salvador, you know, nobody's pretending that El Salvador has 10,000 places with Britain's name on it. That would be irresponsible to claim that.
Yes.
But it does show. Sorry, go on, Chris.
I was going to say very, very quickly, when are you going out there? You're going with Leanderson, are you, to El Salvador this year?
Yeah, we haven't decided on a date yet because he's away, then I'm away, but it will be soon.
Okay.
Very interesting. Well, I look forward to hearing how those potential negotiations go.
Again, outside the box thinking, which you can do in opposition, and it may work.
Well, yeah. Vanessa Frake, thank you very much indeed, Reform UK's prison advisor. Let's speak to political advisor and journalist Pablo Ohana on this. Pablo, it's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, foreign nationals clogging up our prison system. If we can send them somewhere else, you know, it's two birds, one stone, isn't it?
Well, we actually do this. So there's around 6,000 foreign criminals every year that are already deported back to their country. That's actually up in the last year to a 10-year high. Obviously, that is not all the way there, but it is a good start. I think the concern about this is this sounds like a policy that is designed to be announced and campaigned on, but there's not an awful lot of planning to deliver it. And I think it's, as I say, it's not that it's just kind of unserious and unworkable. It's also not British. It's very un-British, actually. We have laws, we have rules. That's what our country is founded upon.
And this prison has been described. Very British, Pablo.
Well, no, but listen, this prison has been described as worse than hell. Prisoners have been beaten and tortured for asking for things like medication.
They wouldn't be sent there. That's the terrorist one.
But there is no, well, actually, there's no plan about this at all. This is the point, is that they don't know where they're going to put these. They've just plucked this out of the air. This is not a serious policy that has been thought through in any way. But also don't forget that there's around 2,000 Brits in prisons around the world. So if we start paying for another country to hold foreign prisoners from here in bad conditions, how can we be absolutely sure that the same thing won't happen to British citizens abroad? So we need to be really careful about that. But on top of this, there's at least a third of this figure that's kind of being thrown around with not a whole ton of evidence that haven't even been convicted of anything. So what are you going to do? You're going to deport them before they've been in front of a jury, and what if they turn out to be innocent and say they serve their sentence, right? Say they're convicted and they serve their sentence. Then what? Do they come back to the UK? I mean, there are just so many unanswered questions about how this would work.
I don't think even Reform is saying that people on remand should be sent to these foreign jails. It's when they're convicted, and if there's no returns agreement, that's when it should happen. Isn't it, we have 10,000 or so, including a couple of thousand or maybe 3,000 those on Reform in our current jails. There's only 1,600 or fewer than 2,000 Brits overseas in foreign jails. We seem to have a lot of foreigners in our prison system and not enough space for Brits who are here already. I mean, this makes some sense.
Listen, they should be going back to their home country. There's no doubt about that. And as I say, around 6,000 are happening already. That needs to go much further, much faster. They need to figure out a way to do that. I think sending people to a prison or, you know, to a place where we cannot be sure of their human rights is really, really complicated.
What about the victims' human rights, Pablo? It's hard to understand how you're worried about the prisoners' human rights when the victims who have suffered at the hands of these criminals are seeing people leaving early from their sentence. It's outrageous.
It is, which is completely unacceptable, and they should be out of our country. But remember that, like, we can't just deport people to another country and breach their human rights. What does that say about us? What does it say about us as a country if we just use other countries as like a dumping ground for violent criminals?
Well, I mean,
this hasn't been thought through.
It, Sweden's done it, the States have done it.
The victims are the most
horrible countries, are they?
Well, actually, they haven't worked yet. Some of those are in very, very early stages, and they're spending an awful lot of money on trying to make it work. And of course, we did try Rwanda here. It didn't work. It cost a whole ton of money and delivered absolutely nothing.
Ground, you're right, but
I think we have to be really, really careful. This is an incredibly complicated problem. No one wants criminals here, especially not foreign criminals. But I think it requires a little bit more thought.
People try to keep them here. I mean, you know, when there are deportation flights going, people will sit on the ground and try and stop them.
No one wants criminals full stop, let alone foreign
it's
criminals.
so cruel to send these, these hideous offenders back to their own countries because of their human rights. There's a lot of people on the left who will literally chain themselves to a plane to avoid deporting a foreign national.
No one sensible is chaining themselves to a plane. I am not advocating that we should be treating foreign criminals as some, in like a hotel. They should be tried, they should be convicted, and then they should go to prison. But they should be tried under British law because that's how we do things in this country.
Well, we need bigger prisons, don't we? Pablo Hano, thank you very much indeed. Political advisor and journalist there.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Andy Burnham is back from his holiday, promising to bring forward the ban on subscription traps. But should the Prime Minister be a bit more focused on what he's going to do about PC Andrew Harper's killers? And of course, the small boat crisis. 230 people now wedged onto one vessel.
All of that and more. It's a large boats crisis, not a small boats crisis now. All of that and more to come. You're on GB News, Britain's #1 news channel for the past 12 months.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 29 minutes past 2, and yes, Labour has overtaken Reform UK in a latest poll, taking a 3-point lead.
That's right. An Ipsos survey found Andy Burnham was preferred for Prime Minister over Nigel Farage from Reform UK and Kevin Badenoch from the Conservatives.
But is this small boats business and various other scandals about the early prison release having an impact? Should the Prime Minister be more focused on dealing with these issues? And is it having an impact on his approval rating or not yet?
Joined now by Professor Sir John Curtis from Strathclyde University. Sir John, great to have you on. Very briefly then, is Andy Burnham coming up against the harsh realities of government this week, and will that hit him in the polls over the issue of the large boats crossing the Channel and the inability to stop the killers of Andrew Harper, the policeman, from being released this autumn?
Oh, sure. The government's beginning to have to deal with difficult problems. It's also having to deal with difficult problems not of its own making, such as, for example, that the price of petrol is still extremely high and there's still no sign of the Strait of Hormuz being liberated for international shipping traffic, upon which a lot of us are very dependent. More broadly speaking, I mean, Ipsos's poll is basically all of a piece. So it's just that this company has not polled previously since the back end of June. So it's catching up with the Burnham bounce. So the Burnham bounce certainly seems to have stopped. That is, if you take the polls that have been conducted over the last week or so, Labour at 26 points is exactly the same on average as they were in the polls the previous week, whereas in the two previous weeks, i.e. the first 2 weeks of Andy Burnham's premiership, Labour's support went up by 3 points and then by 2 points. So the Burnham bounce certainly seems to have stopped. Now, whether or not that's because of the row about PC Harper's assailants, we don't know, though I think one has to say that if you go all the way back to when Keir Starmer resigned, when Labour at 19 points, Labour's bounce at 7 points is basically towards the high end of what you might expect, given historical precedent. You wouldn't necessarily have expected to go on any further. And to that extent, at least, I think, we are now in a world where Labour have a narrow lead over Reform, because Reform have their own particular difficulties, but that we're not necessarily seeing any change beyond that at the moment.
How much of an impact is this sort of ongoing feud, drama on the right having, sort of between the Reform Party and the Restore Party, the leaders having sort of quite public debates, let's say, disagreements, fallouts on social media?
Yeah, there are two key battles going on the right. The first is the one you've alluded to, which is the argument between Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage about whether or not there should be some understanding between Restore Britain and Reform. Now, Restore Britain certainly aren't anything like the force that Reform are. Reform are still at 24% in the polls. Those pollsters who are trying to measure Restore Britain, they don't entirely agree, but it's somewhere between 1% and 3%. That said, those Restore Britain voters look as though, unsurprisingly, to be disproportionately coming at the expense of Reform. And at the moment, for example, let us say that most of those Restore Britain voters were still in the Reform camp, then rather than being 2 points behind Labour, Reform might be neck and neck with Labour. And Nigel Farage has admitted that although he doesn't think outside of Rupert Lowe's Great Yarmouth constituency, Restore Britain could be a serious competitor. And remember, Reform have demonstrated an ability to put up 5,000 candidates in local elections. Restore Britain are nowhere near demonstrating that ability. But yes, Nigel Farage would like to get Rupert Lowe off his back, but at the moment it's not entirely clear that there's room for compromise between them. The other crucial battle on the right that's going on is between Reform and the Conservatives. Some Conservatives, for example, Rupert Colville in the Sunday Times yesterday, former author of Boris Johnson's 2019 manifesto, is pointing out that the Conservatives are now only 4 points behind Reform, and that therefore perhaps Nigel Farage's hopes of replacing the Conservative Party as the principal party of the right are now open to challenge. And certainly if you look over the longer term, the Conservatives back in the autumn of last year, when they were meeting for their conference there, were down at 17%. They were losing as many as 1 in 3 of their 2024 voters to Reform. That latter figure's now gone down to a little bit under a quarter, and the Conservatives are at least now back up to 20%. So it is one of the dilemmas that Reform now face. At the moment, they seem to be tacking a little bit to the right, coming up with tougher measures on immigration, tougher measures on foreign prisoners. They seem to be trying to appeal to the folk who've been wandering off to Rupert Lowe, but that does potentially expose them to the fact that Kemi Badenoch, now much more popular, is beginning to also reduce the losses to reform from her direction.
It's going to be very difficult.
Nigel Farage is finding the field a little bit more competitive than he wants to be.
Yes, I think that's a good assessment there. It's probably quite tricky to know exactly how to play it. So John Curtis, thank you very much indeed, political scientist there. Let us know your thoughts at home about all of that. How much is the sort of little bit of fighting going on the right impacting things? Let us know. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up.
An NHS Trust has told transgender staff and patients they can continue using single-sex facilities based on their gender identity. All of that and much, much more after your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. Reform UK says Britain's prison system is causing a national emergency and has promised to deport all foreign nationals from UK prisons to free up space and end the early release scheme. GB News understands around 230 migrants have arrived in the UK overnight after crossing the Channel. Nearly 1,000 made the journey in small boats this weekend. An asylum seeker from Afghanistan who groomed and then raped a 13-year-old girl has been sentenced to 9.5 years in prison. Abdul Khan arrived in the UK on the back of a lorry in 2015. And amber heat health alerts have been issued for most of England as temperatures are expected to reach 36 degrees this week. Those are your latest headlines. Sophia Wensler will bring you more at 3 o'clock.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a dry day for the vast majority today with long spells of sunshine, especially in the south. And in the south, it's going to be very warm, if not hot again. Now, we've got high pressure building throughout the UK this time, so that means it is going to be dry for the vast majority. Even across northern Scotland, where we've had some rain through the weekend, it's mostly just showers. A strong breeze for the Northern Isles, otherwise lighter winds for many places, broken cloud and long spells of sunshine for many parts of England and Wales. That's where the highest temperatures will be. We're talking about the mid to high 20s widely. Could just about squeeze a 30 Celsius in the southeast, but it's not quite as hot as Sunday. A brief respite in the highest temperatures before the heat begins to build again through the next few days. Now, across much of Scotland, it's a fine and bright end to Monday. Plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west, a bit more cloud towards the east, but temperatures up to the mid to high teens. Northern Ireland, likewise, a lot of cloud cover, 1 or 2 spots of rain in the far north, otherwise a fine end to Monday. Best of the clear spells, though, for England and Wales, and clear spells remain overnight, just some patches of cloud here and there. A warm night for many. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, we will see a bit more cloud around at times and some showery rain coming into the far northwest of Scotland. That's where temperatures will drop to single figures in 1 or 2 spots. Otherwise, further south, it's warm, with temperatures in many places staying in the teens. Now we start off Tuesday with long spells of sunshine for England and Wales, southern Scotland, Northern Ireland also, but some high-level cloud will dim the sun from time to time. Thicker cloud and outbreaks of rain will affect northern Scotland, turning to showers into the afternoon, and then it's widely dry and increasingly warm. Temperatures up to 30 Celsius, Western England and Wales. Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M5 northbound is affected by a collision at junction 23 in Bridgewater North. The M6 southbound is affected by a collision between junctions 17 and 16 in Crewe and Stoke West. In Scotland, the M8 eastbound hard shoulder is closed at junction 13. Across Wales, the A40 northbound from Mitchell Troy to Gibraltar Tunnels is congested. And on the trains, Elizabeth Line services are suspended between Hayes and Harlington and Heathrow Airport, with disruption between Romford and Shenfield, while Heathrow Express services are reduced to and from Heathrow terminals. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
OK, an NHS trust has told transgender staff and patients they can continue using single-sex facilities based on their gender identity.
Yeah, so this is Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, and they've revealed its policy will remain in place, so the current guidance will remain in place while it awaits further NHS guidance. I mean, how much guidance do we need despite a new quality code on it coming into force? Shall we speak to Sex Matters campaigner Fiona McKenna? Fiona, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm a little bit confused about this because we've had the court tell us what's happening. We've had guidance released from the government. How much more do these NHS trusts need before they just say, sorry, toilets and changing rooms are sex-based? That's it.
Yes, and wards, hospital wards too. I mean, we should just be clear, when they say transgender people can use the facilities that match their gender identity, they're saying that any man can walk into a women's changing room or a women's toilet and, if challenged, can say, I feel like a woman. So this is absolutely a voyeur's charter, and no one should want this, whether you have a trans identity or not, because it just removes everyone's privacy. I think why we're still waiting for guidance, one can only imagine that people inside the NHS really do believe that the feelings of men who identify as women are so fragile or so important that women just have to put up with it. And that's despite the fact that NHS trusts in the north of England and in Scotland have lost lawsuits about this, and I think there will be more lawsuits.
I think what's extraordinary, and the new rules came in last week, didn't they? The new guidance, the code. Why can a public body ignore the change in the law, the rulings by the Supreme Court, and now the guidance from the government on this? Why can they do this? Is no one on the hook for this?
Well, the painful thing that this reveals is that the law works if we all respect it. And, you know, if people break the law, they don't necessarily get stopped unless someone brings a case. So that's why we've seen people like Sandy Peggy in Scotland and the Darlington nurses go to tribunal and say, this is not fair, this is a breach of our rights at work. But, you know, all over the country, NHS trusts are still letting this happen, and vulnerable women and indeed female staff who fear for their jobs are sort of having to choose between putting up with it or making a fuss. And that's a difficult call to make.
Yeah, I think there are lots of trusts who haven't really made clear that they're going to be following this guidance. But there are some councils as well. This is an issue for local councils. I think it's Lambeth Council who say they don't really want to, well, they're not going to implement this amended code. You've also got other sort of left-wing run councils, Hackney, Haringey, Lewisham, Southwark, Waltham, who are sort of struggling with this idea. I mean, I guess the difficulty is, if I'm fair to them, could it be that they don't have provisions in place yet for a small number of transgender people that would feel uncomfortable using their biological sex toilets, so if they've completely transitioned and the like? Could it be that they just need to get things in order first, or do you see this as a sort of resistance?
I don't think we can let them have that excuse because, you know, the law was clarified in April 2025. Most facilities have got some gender neutral provision anyway. And even if they don't, that is not a reason for them to give an explicit message to all of us to say, we don't care about women's privacy. We don't care if men continue to use women's toilets. So I don't accept that as an excuse. I think one important thing to remember here is that it's up to all of us as users to do the right thing. You know, when people say we can't police this or whatever, that was never raised as a concern before. We've always known what sex we are we male or female, and we know what the right thing to do is. And the problem we've got is that these councils are encouraging men to ignore that, to dismiss women's privacy and just suit themselves. And I think no good will come of that.
Well, J.K. Rowling's got involved again. She's saying that she will potentially, you know, pay for people's legal challenges. I think she was talking about this particular story, this NHS trust.
Yes, you know, and that's fantastic, and thank goodness for J.K. Rowling. But it shouldn't come down to individuals who feel discriminated against to try to assert their rights. And you know, and in the health service, many people simply can't. If you're ill, and there was a case of a woman who didn't want a male who identified as a woman as her nurse because she wanted female care, and she was sent home from hospital in a private hospital. So women are in a vulnerable state when they're ill, when they're in hospital. We can't be having to take lawsuits at the same time to try and get privacy and decency. The leaders of these NHS trusts should do it.
It's outrageous that for about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the big row then was over mixed-sex wards, and that was also outrageous for the reasons you're describing of decency and privacy, particularly for women, I think, in those situations. I mean, I just think it's galling, I think, for viewers and listeners of GB News to hear of public authorities just not doing what the guidance is. I mean, if this is the other way around, imagine the uproar.
Yeah, I think galling's a good way to describe it. And, you know, I mean, everyone cares about our privacy, or most people do, men and women, especially when they're unwell and they're vulnerable in a hospital bed. But it's a particular horror, I think, for these NHS trusts to put the feelings of men who identify as women as so important and so precious that female staff and female patients lose any expectation that they might have to have privacy. And I think ultimately it's very depressing to see how women's rights, women's needs can be set aside so easily.
Well, Fiona McAnina, thank you for joining us there. That's Fiona McAnina from Sex Matters.
Thank you very much. Well, a Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust spokesperson said the Trust accepts the Supreme Court judgment and is implementing the EHRC Code of Practice through a structured implementation programme. A small number of policies are under formal review, informed by external legal advice and any relevant NHS England guidance as it becomes available.
As a mental health and community provider, we must also balance our wider legal duties to protect safety, privacy, dignity, safeguarding and human rights, including for vulnerable patients.
All right, well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up.
I bet you can't wait for this. Dougie does Benidorm. Britain's looking for even more sun or abroad in Benidorm in Spain. And guess who's there? Our man Dougie BT talking to holidaymakers. There are some of them.
Excellent stuff. It's probably sangria o'clock. Who knows what they're going to tell us? Anyway, here's the forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. A lot of high pressure dominates much of southern Europe, with a lot of sunshine and some thunderstorms in the mix too. Those thunderstorms, particularly across parts of Turkey and Greece, where we're seeing temperatures into the mid-30s. Further west across Italy, temperatures into the high 30s and low 40s. And very hot across parts of Spain as well. But a little bit more on the way cloud and slightly fresher conditions across the Canary Islands. Staying settled and hot throughout next week, temperatures peaking later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
4 heat waves, weeks without meaningful rain. As the UK heads towards one of its hottest summers on record, the pressure is showing here in Sussex, in the fruit growing across these fields.
Well, the impact of the heat is already visible here. This local grower says that if these extreme temperatures continue, this year's harvest may well be smaller in size.
I don't think there's been another period like this in the history. 3 years ago, we had a tremendous heat wave in the middle of harvest. We were unable to get the fruit to cool down quickly enough. The following year we had a very, very light crop, and the same again this year.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's only all-female chess team, called She Plays to Win, has been promoted to the game's top division, only to be told they must recruit a male player to compete. Now, league rules require every First Division team to include at least one male and one female player, meaning that one of the team's female players could lose her place. I'm joined in the studio by the She Plays to Win chess players, Anusha and Alicia. Great to see you both this afternoon.
Thank you.
So sorry about what's going on. You've been promoted, but you might have to lose one of your teammates. What's going on here?
So essentially, we have fallen victim to this rule that She Plays to Win, our team, has been promoted to the first division in our league, but now must have a male player as part of the rules.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, that drought is due to long periods, record periods actually, with no rainfall and high temperatures. The areas that are affected, as you say, over half of England, half of the UK affected by that. The areas being East Anglia, Hertfordshire, the whole of London, Thames Valley, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, Devon and Cornwall, the West Midlands and Wessex, covering Dorset, Somerset, Wiltshire and Gloucestershire. So a huge area impacted by that drought. There is also that amber heat health alert still in place here. That's in place until tomorrow. And temperatures today in the south could reach up to 35 degrees. So people here in Bognor Regis coming to the coast to cool down.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, there you go. It's 2:50. This is Good Afternoon Britain. And did you know that Benidorm is on Spain's Costa Blanca?
No.
And it's well known for people enjoying themselves, having a nice little sunbathe.
Oh.
And GB News is there too. Yeah, Doogie Beattie is out sunning himself, and I think he's met some holiday makers. He's thrust himself upon them for chats about what matters to them politically. Whether they'll be wanting to talk about that, I don't know.
Joining us now is that man himself in the sun, in the sunnies and the t-shirt. Doogie Beattie, fresh from Belfast to Benidorm. How is it?
It's hot, hot, hot in Costa Blanca. It is indeed, and it's Costa Blanca because it's the sand of the white, as opposed to Costa del Sol, which is the land of the heat. And of course, the British flock here. It is the biggest attraction for Spanish, is the Costa Blanca. And then, of course, up the road you have Costa Fortune. Well, you don't really. But anyway, it's called Costa Blanca. Land of the white, look at my legs. Yes, out of shape. Totally land of the white legs. You'd know I'm Irish. You'd know I've just arrived off a plane. And we've only quite literally got down to the seafront. But we will be doing our usual visit. We've done it for the last 3 years. We did it in the Cheltenham Festival. We did it this time last year. And it is amazing what we find out when we're here. Of course, this time of the day, Luthia, just pan out the camera there, you can see the lovely beach and everybody very, very well behaved. And Benidorm is beautiful. Luthia, if you want to just go on up there, you can see the lovely buildings, hotels. It is a beautiful place for a holiday. But of course, if you come into the Strip at night, the place that's known as the Strip, well, it's British madness gone mad. Yes, every hen party, stag night and A-level results people that are celebrating will be here. And GB News is here to catch it all. It is a beautiful place for holiday, and you can get all sorts of people coming here from all stretches of life. And really, we have been very well accepted for the past 3 years. So let's see if that keeps up. We'll be with you throughout the week.
Oh, Doogie, wow. I mean, you've got a certain charm about you. I'm sure everyone will come flocking, trying to speak to you. Get on GB News.
And we want those white legs to be tanned by Friday. Make sure Luthia shows your legs next time.
Well, there you go. Doogie Beattie and Benidorm. We'll find out what he has to say to the locals later.
Martin Daubney's next. This has been Good Afternoon Britain with me, Chris and Emily.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a dry day out there for most of us. Clear spells across the board, cooler overnight compared with how things will be during the rest of the week. We've actually had some respite from the heat through the day. Compared with Sunday, temperatures have been a few degrees down, but we've got high pressure extending across the whole of the UK. That's helping to kill off the showers. Shetland and Orkney, although an area of cloud and some patchy light rain will push into Western Scotland, Northern Ireland overnight. Elsewhere, clear skies remain. And under those clear skies, with lower humidities compared with recent days and nights, actually, it will be fresh in places. Not everywhere. It's still going to be warm in the south and southeast, but further north and west, temperatures in some shelter spots dipping into the single figures. Now we start Tuesday with a lot of dry weather up and down the UK, one exception, northwest Scotland, where it will be a damp start to the day for Lewis, Harris. Into the west coast there, some thicker clouds, some drizzly rain. But towards the east and south across Scotland, drier, brighter and some brightness first thing for Northern Ireland. But the best of the sunshine through Tuesday morning will be across England and Wales. Yet again, it's dry through Tuesday and the rest of the week, indeed, in those areas where we most need rainfall. It's also going to be turning hotter. After that fresher night, humidities and temperatures are rising during the days ahead. Widespread sunshine across central and southern Scotland into England and Wales and Northern Ireland will boost temperatures. We keep the thicker cloud in the north and northwest of Scotland, some spots of light wet rain, but otherwise it's dry, bright and hotter. Temperatures reaching 29 or 30 Celsius. Western England and Wales, a little bit cooler along the east coast of England for now.